Hello TCCA, hello the rest of the internet, and hello. We're just gonna greet everyone individually. Hello YouTube, hello podcast page, hello TCCA. Welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We are bringing you Transformers news from around the world. It is all of the news that's fit to print. No. Maybe it's all the news that's fit to stream. This is episode 230. We are recording live on Friday, March 19th, 2021. This episode, we'll be talking about Megatron being reformatted, or perhaps not, for Kingdom. We'll get our first look at Netflix Wave 3 figures. And would you buy a 10-year-old combiner with new accessories? No. All that and more is... spoiler, someone's already answered the question. All that and more is coming up on this week's episode of Australian Transformers Weekly. I don't know what's going on. Oh no, that's the logo. Okay.
Don't worry.
I pressed the wrong button.
Off to a flying start today.
It happens a lot. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Jason. Joining me this week, we have Tony coming to us from an undisclosed location somewhere in Sydney. How are you?
Hello. How are we all, guys?
I'm doing fairly well. It's been a bit of a wet week in Sydney. I'm sure you're well aware, but you've had quite some success that we'll talk about in a minute with your toy acquisitions. Mm-hmm. We also coming from an undisclosed location in country Victoria. We also have TCCA founder Brad Mull coming to us. How are you doing, Brad?
Hello, gents.
Looking resplendent there with the long locks and sitting back and looking rather relaxed, I must say.
Yes. I don't think these lights have been on for about a year and a half, so...
Brad, the way you're sitting there in that t-shirt, it makes me think of, like, if someone said, hey, Brad, you're invited to this really formal dinner party. We really want you to dress up and come in. This is what you'd come as. Your hair would be nice and brushed. You'd be wearing your best Transformers t-shirt, and you look ever so good.
Thank you, sir. You're spot on. You're spot on.
That's how I go to dinner parties. What are you talking about?
And are they all your cars in the back?
But
there?
I've forgotten. I haven't got my mask on. Cars.
Are they all your cars in the back there, or is that yours? Look at them all.
Yeah, there's different things. Bumblebee,
it's actually a little bit hard to see because of the light on them, I think.
Yeah.
It makes it look like there's an actual car yard behind you.
Well, Brad is actually coming to us live from Car City. Come down and see what he's got.
He'll do you a deal on a second-hand lemon.
He'll do you a deal and his eyes will go all over the place while he does it.
Not for sale. No, there's... What is it? There's DeLoreans, there's ML320 Mercedes, there's Explorers, there's Jeeps.
Wow.
There's a shit ton of movie figures. Prime's riding movie 1, Megatron's a piggyback. So there's all sorts of things going on there.
It's a nice
We don't actually get a look at your shelves very often, Brad.
It's probably time for an update on that.
Yeah, maybe it is. It's time to get the camera out, take a bit of a video, post it up in the group.
Yeah.
We can expect that by Saturday night, thank you.
One thing there that you definitely can't see, even if I open and get rid of the glare. Oh, you might Exotron, right there. Probably a year ago, we discussed whether that should be taken out of the box or not.
Do you mean Ectotron? Or is Exotron some other form of?
I don't know. What the hell is Exotron?
Are you talking about the Ghostbusters one?
It is Ectotron, yes. It is Ectotron. Still there in the box. We had the discussion with Other Bradley this time last year about taking it out of the box, so it's still in this box. So.
Well, so as it turns out, it's a good time to take it out of the box because it's just been reissued anyway with a brand new deco. So you can buy that one and keep that in the box.
Yep.
True. Yep, it's right there. It's right there next to a Giggly Watt and Maverickery. Exotron.
Yeah, Exotron, Giggly Watt, and what did you say from Everett? I was going to say merry-go-rounderick, but yeah.
I said Moverickery.
Movenpick.
Movenpick.
It's the ice cream crossover.
Yeah.
I think I said last week I was telling everyone at Oz Comic Con, everyone was very puzzled why there was a Top Gun crossover. I said, don't you remember that scene in the movie where Tom Cruise transforms into his F-15 and then literally just flies off? Yeah. I feel like we've been talking a little bit about what you've been up to this week. However, Bradley's left a very ominous note in the run sheet about what he's been up to this week. It says Ultimate Tag.
Let's not. I'll put that there first up because I didn't know how much news there was, so we can skip straight over that.
No. Actually, you know what? Like, I gotta say, I'm disappointed that I've missed the start of Ultimate Tag. I'm gonna have to watch it on catch up because I actually
The
think
first two episodes, it's been pulled.
Oh really? Oh okay.
Is it really?
I actually think the concept is really quite good. There's a lot of this stuff goes around on YouTube, right? There's a lot of tag contests and stuff, and it's a bit of a mix of athleticism, it's a bit of parkour and everything like that. So, but I feel like what Seven's doing this year with their sort of special event series, like this has turned into a TV commentary podcast, by the way. Now.
I was going to say we're tangenting.
Yeah, what Seven's been doing this year, like they had Holy Moly and it ran for a month instead of it going for like 5 months and just running out of steam. So like they do like a little condensed run of special event stuff. So I think it's been good. And like Ultimate Tag will be on, then it'll go away. And if you don't like Ultimate Tag, you can watch something else next month.
So Ultimate Tag was meant to be the replacement in the schedule for Holy Moly. Is that right? It was meant to fill that same time slot.
It's this month's event.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And but now it's been pulled because obviously poor viewership. It sounds like. But is it just that
horrible viewership?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Let's condense. The problem is there was a movie that came out 2 years ago called Tag, which no one's seen and done extremely poorly. Then they decided to make a game show out of it. They gave all the contestants gladiator names. We watched the first 2 episodes, and then it was pulled after that with poor ratings. I said to the kids, a lot of these people that are tagging, they got gladiator names. Guess what came out in the 90s? So for the last 2.5 weeks, we've been on YouTube watching old episodes of Gladiators, Australian Gladiators.
Vulcan.
And
so have they not got Vulcan running around trying to tag people? I mean, he'd have a Zimmer frame by now, wouldn't he?
most likely.
He'd also get arrested for that, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, probably.
But if you're going to have all these parkour champions and that sort of thing competing, don't confine them to a course the size of a tennis court. Like, they sprint over one obstacle and at the other end of the field. Like, it was so boring and lame. And yeah, we've had much more enjoyment from Gladiators.
Instead of actually having like humans tagging humans, maybe they should have had humans released and then like release the hounds to chase after them. And then whoever wins is actually the person that manages to outrun the dogs.
I hear that might be one of the challenges that they've come up for Big Brother this year.
People in sumo suits trying to evade the dogs is just...
There we go. That was solved. Let's send that to Channel 7 now. Let's get it packaged up. Let's go.
Stop, cut, print.
That's
it. Maybe...
We're done.
Maybe
stick a fork in it. It's done.
Send it to HBO Max. It might get more views than the Snyder Cut, but another story.
Ooh,
that burn.
That's a deep cut, and I'll have you know the Snyder Cut crashed HBO Max.
Oh, did it really? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it crashed HBO Max. It also crashed Binge, but so like I've been paying attention to this for reasons. It crashed Binge, but it didn't crash Binge when it was released. It crashed Binge at about 2 p.m. in the afternoon because that's when it was released in the States. And so everyone jumped on Binge trying to watch it then and flooded Binge with requests. And so they went down because they hadn't scaled up their capacity at that point, apparently. But by about like 6:30, I heard that HBO Go had crashed in Asia and Binge was quite happily streaming in Australia. So good on them.
Oh.
We are so far in the weeds. We haven't even started. So I'm just gonna
be a great episode, guys.
I'm just gonna bring in this photo. We are looking at Kingdom Galvatron. Tony is salivating at the mouth because he wants to talk about him. Have at it. What do you reckon? We've seen a leak of Kingdom Galvatron this week. It's not entirely clear. It's not entirely clear what we're looking at here. Like, it appears to be... So someone's got a hold of the figure and they've composited it in front of some kind of artwork that looks like Cybertron of some kind, but it looks like it's it looks like it's a composite of some kind. It's a bit weird. There's sort of like, there's obviously some light coming from the top. It's a well done composite job. Like, that's nice. And actually, looking at it now, I can sort of see that some parts of it are a little bit out of focus, like the guns in his hands. Just to, like, for people who are listening to the audio version, so we are looking at the thing that's obviously Galvatron. He looks somewhat similar to his appearance in the Earthrise Netflix cartoon, and very much like what you would sort of expect Galvatron to look like these days. He's big, he's purple, he's got a very, very broad chest, which sort of goes to the Netflix design, and he's got his arm-mounted cannon, which is mounted on his forearm instead of on the top of his arm, and he's carrying two guns that look like Decepticon warships, which
they do. Yeah,
it's a little bit strange, but I'm told that the Decepticon warship guns are meant to scale with the newly released War for Cybertron Unicron. So, which does come with an arc. So, like, you can sort of have a bit of a pew-pew battle and have these things sort of chase each other around Unicron until he, like, grabs them with his hand.
So are you saying, Jace, that they can play tag with each other?
I believe I am.
There's a tagline.
They can play tag with it. I mean, wait. I can do this, right?
Okay.
I can do this because we've got tag. I can link tag to Galvatron. Are you ready?
Go.
Right. We were talking about tag. We mentioned that gladiators should be involved in tag. One of the gladiators is Vulcan. The most famous Vulcan in history is played by Leonard Nimoy, who played Galvatron in the Transformers 86 movie.
Nice.
Bam!
Yes.
Well
Yes,
done.
yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Well done.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Next up,
thank you for listening to this episode of Australian Transformers Weekly. Next week. Bye.
next game, let's play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Do you know that there is a cafe up the road that has a pig that's called Kevin Bacon? So, like, anyone in Sydney can play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon because they've all been in to see him. And Brad's video has disappeared.
I think he's in protest at the quality of that last segment.
Maybe.
Brad,
Brad,
leaving. What happened?
Still,
that was the end of the show.
Very nice.
I left.
So let's talk a little bit about Galvatron. Tony, I think you're jonesing for a chat about the big purple guy. Tell us your feelings.
I am in love with this. This is so good, so good. So I mean, to start with, if you flick through to the next photo, Jace, when you get a close-up shot of his mug, like, the positives of this, like, it just looks. Oh, look at that face. That's a face that everybody's mother could love. Look at that.
That is a face that just says, "Do not fuck with me."
Exactly. That's right. Do not play ultimate tag with me. That's what it says. But the it just looks beautiful, and like as you said, the barrel chest and how massive it is. The two gunships that he's got, which I believe is called the Revenge, by the way. Those ships that are meant to scale with Unicron.
They're not Nemesis.
So I was careful not to say Nemesis. I thought I just said Decepticon ships, but it is funny because they both look the same, and they look like they're meant to clip together, and I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand how clipping them together makes them a Decepticon warship of any.
I don't know about that. Yeah, but
give
just
you the Nemesis.
But just the overall size. And by the way, for those listening, for those watching, the photo of Galvatron we've got here looks a bit mistransformed. So the bits on his shoulders, they look like they're meant to sort of clip down. If you sort of look, there's a black tabs that sit there, and if you compare it to the cartoon version, those shoulder bits are meant to be silver, which I suspect is at the back of what's on this photo at the moment. So if you push them down, I reckon that looks a little bit more cartoon accurate. But oh my, this looks so good, and it's going to scale so well with Rodimus.
You know what? I'm gonna take a stand. I'm gonna say I actually prefer Galvatron with the tabs down like this because it goes back to, I think we talked about this on Wednesday, but I don't know if you're in the chat room. But like, how's he meant to see anyone coming at him from either side? Like his eye line is currently just over the shoulder pads, And so he's fine, right? He can see Starscream coming up. Like, he's already killed Starscream, but like he can see whoever's going to attack him from the side and stab him in the back. Whereas like the more traditional Galvatron, he's got these massive shoulder pads and he can't see anything. Which just goes back to the joke from the Avengers. Like, how does Nick Fury see anything that's to the left of him? He turns.
It's a classic Seeker issue too, having the shoulder pauldrons there.
Actually, the shoulder pylons on the Seekers are actually meant to be behind the head. It depends on the specific version of them, but yeah.
But then they can't see what's over there.
But see, this is the great quality of discussion that we get on this podcast. A couple of Transformers nerds talking about the peripheral vision of a couple of Decepticons. This is great. We're off to a great start.
This is what, and let me just check here. One person is tuning in live to hear this discussion. That's great. Friday night. Thank you.
Hello, one.
I thank you. Oh shit, that's me. Actually, that's in another window. Sorry, but yeah.
Nice.
So,
but this guy looks great. So good. I'm really excited for this guy and the cannon. The only thing that's a bit of a question mark, and it's only a bit, is the battle damage that you can see on here. And I'm curious because Galvatron's meant to be part of the Kingdom line, and it's, I guess, if you look at the other Kingdom figures, they don't have any battle damage. So it's an odd decision for Hasbro to decide to put this battle damage on this figure this late in the trilogy. So I'm confused by it.
It is just that one way that Hasbro gets you right. Like they go, hey, we're going to do Galvatron. We know that we fucked it up in Titan's Return. We really want to do it right this time. So here's an amazing design. Yes, but they did fuck it up in Titan's Return. Here's an amazing design for the figure. People are going to love it. It's going to come out. People are going to just like go nuts for it. What can we do to just really spoil it for the fans? I know. Yeah. Let's get the dude who did the paint job for Siege to have a look. Hey,
but at least this...
Hey, Mike. Can you get us some purple paint?
No, sure. Would you want some battle damage on that?
No. Just do enough to make it look like we meant it to be a cartoon accurate highlight, but just make it look like we fucked it.
Okay, let me get the chainsaw.
You know what though? It's not just the chest. Like he's also got a bit of battle damage, it seems, on his legs and around his shins and stuff as well. So it ain't just the purple paint.
Yeah, it's a good point.
At least this seems to be a little bit more subtle than what other figures in the Siege line for the poo smears and that. Looking at you, Seekers. Just the darker colours on the lighter colours, where here you've got that dark
that's
purple.
A spoiler
you've got
for what's coming up later, but go on.
Here you got the lighter colour on the darker purple. It doesn't seem as obvious and as poo smeary.
That's actually a really good point. That's a good point, Brad, because when I think about the Megatron Siege and the Earthrise Megatron, but both of them actually have like the shins and the leg, which are meant to be black, have these stupid white scratches all over them. So, and it stands out because it's on a black background. And to your point, when you look at this, you don't see any of that, which is good.
It is more subtle. I feel like Hasbro's learned their lesson over the last 2 years. I think I also spot some of it on his arm as well. Like, let me see if I can just completely break everything by trying to zoom in on this photo. Right
on his right arm, I can see.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I'm going to ask
the
Tony.
zoom is not working, but there.
I don't think I can't remember Galvatron from Earthrise at all. So your love of this is because of his appearance in Earthrise, Tony?
No. So I was talking about Megatron, but my love for this in particular is just it's going to be one of those figures that like the build of it looks so movie accurate to me. Yeah. Apart from that stupid battle damage, but it looks so movie accurate that it'll sit quite well with the other SS86 figures that I've got, and it'll look really good on the shelf just for that season 3 kind of collection that I'm building. So
for clarification, you're saying 86 movie and not Age of Extinction.
Correct, 86 movie. That's right. Yeah,
it's definitely not accurate to Galvatron's appearance in Age of Extinction.
No,
Bay screwed up a lot of stuff, but he's probably got a very different way of looking at Galvatron. That's for sure.
No, that's all right. There's a theme that's going to play through tonight, and I'll address it towards the end. It's just
okay.
Yeah.
On a side note, Jason, you were talking about this picture that someone's put together as the backdrop. Have you noticed at the back left, just above Galvatron's cannon, there's a robot standing on something, having a look in the distance? Does that look like any figure that is familiar to us at all from the franchise?
No, to be perfectly honest, I think this might actually, and I'm not very current with what's going on in it at the moment. I think this might actually just be a shot from the from one of the IDW comics.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what this is. So like part of it looks almost like it's meant to be sort of like a painting.
Yes.
With all the lights and stuff on Cybertron. And like it's because they're yellow, that's what makes me think that it's actually current gen IDW rather than sort of like the blue or white that we're sort of used to seeing. But then when you sort of, it's because it's so confusing because there's a physical object in front of it. It's a bit confusing to the eye as to whether it's actually like a painting or a drawing or whatever. There's some rather detailed stuff under Galvatron's right foot. To be perfectly honest, if I was more up with the comics, I'd probably recognise the artwork a little bit more. But yeah, I'm not.
I'll let it counter to that is it looks very much what Prime Studios reference for their bases for some of their statues.
Yes,
so
it does.
Whether that comes from a comic or whether they have their own in-house artists that they use. Just the hand motif of the claws coming up.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not entirely sure who the source of this image is, right? There has been someone on TFW's forums who's claimed to have this figure in hand, but was waiting to post photos until it was officially launched. Now, I don't know if these photos came from this person because it leaked out this week as well. There was a really quite dodgy photo of it just sitting in a pile of toys with lids sort of going everywhere. And I think that person, if this came from that person, they've probably just gone, well, shit, we can't have that be the way that this is revealed to the rest of the planet, so they've taken this photo. I don't know where this came from. It went around on Twitter, it got picked up by the news sites, and it got published. The one I think before we move on, because like this, he's going to be a few months away. He's very likely to be Wave 3 of Kingdom, and whether there's more Waves to Kingdom, we don't know. There is a rumoured repaint of him in toy colours, which should be pretty hot if it's true, because it'll be the grey of the original Galvatron toy from the 80s, which I have to say holds a soft spot in my Transformers fans' hearts. Brad's already groaning.
There's some gender bending going on there I don't want to know about.
What?
Gender bending? No.
And by gender bending, I mean cross franchise, cross era.
Right.
Paint jobs. Because
one
of the reasons
I don't know what the paint job would be like. I don't think there'd be battle damage for the 80s toy color one. But we'll see. I don't know. It's a rumor. Like, it may not come to pass as well. They might do shattered glass Galvatron, which would be awesome if they did. But yeah.
No, my point is just this mold is not 86 Megatron. Don't do it as something, as a reference to something when it's not. It's clearly for Earthrise. Yeah, I know.
They love this. You know what? So right, he's not 86 Megatron, but he is 86 movie Megatron, right?
No, he's not. He's 86 Galvatron.
Yeah, why do you guys keep calling him
you're
Megatron?
Right, yes. I don't know. It's like there's some kind of link between them or something. I'm not sure.
I've done 56 hours this week, please. There's going to be more of this. Okay. I'm sorry. If you don't want it, get out now.
there's another story about Megatron later on, so wow. We'll see. I don't know. I'm interested to see whether they do this. I'm also, to be perfectly honest, I'm also interested to see just how big this guy is, right? Because I don't know, is he meant to be as big as Studio Series 86 Grimlock, for example, right? Should he actually be Voyager size, so that he's about Optimus Prime's size? Because I think if he's much bigger than that as a leader class figure, like he's probably out of scale with the rest of the line. But also he's got two companions in the Kingdom and the 86 lines at the moment, in Cyclonus and Scourge, to go with, and it does make sense if he's a little larger than his minions, right? So I don't know. Like, I feel like I would prefer him to be about Voyager size, but I think he's going to be bigger.
Well, you remember from a previous episode of this podcast that there was a news item we had where a guy compared the size of Rodimus Prime to Optimus, which was sort of basically saying that he was the same size as Earthrise Optimus. Now, it was based on a little bit of spurious scaling that he was doing based on the 5mm ports, but let's put that to one side. If you assume he's correct, in the cartoon, Rodimus and Galvatron are meant to be roughly the same height. So that would mean that Optimus, Earthrise, and Galvatron would be roughly the same height as well. The problem with that would mean that, to your point before, Jace, that would mean that Galvatron is probably the same size as Cyclonus and Scourge, as opposed to being slightly taller than them. If that's
I'm okay with either of those outcomes, really.
Okay. Yeah.
But I guess the part that makes me wonder is if he's meant to be a leader. What if he's meant to be a leader and he's a Voyager size? What about this makes him a leader? It is definitely not the 2 battleship guns.
True, but it'd be that stupid justification for paying a commander class price for Rodimus. They just throw in a whole bunch of accessories that we haven't seen yet, but give us a toy that's
Maybe.
2 levels down.
Yeah. Oh, look, I could definitely do with a blast effect on the cannon. I like his arm cannon certainly looks nice. I like the design of the arm cannon. It looks very consistent with how you expect Galvatron's cannon to look. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Dare we pray that if it's going to be leader class with it higher, dare to be stupid. If it's at higher price point that the cannon may light up and have an electronic effect in it.
Oh, now that's interesting.
It'd be that little bit to push it to leader price point.
You're saying they'll add about 50 cents worth of electronics and push it up by $30.
They've done
That's
it
called
before.
economics.
That's how the cookie crumbles. I'm going to add one more comment before we leave, which is
Yes.
I think this photo of him is actually slightly off center, but I will just say that on the finished product, I really would like the Decepticon logo to be properly centered. I think the photo is he's actually slightly rotated to the left, which is why the logo looks off center. But I would really like it if they could get that right, please. Thank you.
So this must be doing your OCD head in, Jace, to stare at this Decepticon logo.
My goodness, like you have no idea. I mean, you have.
You got to turn the light switch on 50 times.
You've just said exactly what's going on in my head, so you do have some idea, but you have no idea. But yes.
Yeah. I guess that extra paint that's on there, that lighter colour, it's affecting the geometry of his chest.
Yeah, it's possible. I think we've done Galvatron to death.
Yep.
Is it time to move on?
Yes.
I think so.
All right, let's move on to some of the other. Sorry, there was something that we meant to talk about before I brought this guy in, which is local releases of some figures. Tony, you've had some luck going out to the stores and finding some things. So this week we've seen local releases for Kingdom Wave 2 Voyagers, Inferno and Dinobot, which I think we saw last week in like one store in Melbourne, but they've gone wider this week. And you also have had some luck with Deluxes, Tony.
Yeah. It's been quite a week, I've got to say, and I think for most of us who've been waiting around for Kingdom Wave 2 to arrive, it's been a very long wait. But finally, we can now say, ta-da!
How does that go
is
again?
here. Ta-da! Look at this.
Very good, very good, very good.
Look at him. Look at his little face.
Wait,
Isn't he cute?
Hang on. I'll put you up in the.
He's got to do the thing. There it is.
He's done the thing. I've done the thing.
Look at that.
Very nice, very nice.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Very
And
cool.
he transforms quite well. I've only had a couple of plays with him today, but he's been. Oh, sorry, just been around the back there. He's been
very nice.
quite good. The transformation is very simple. It's probably about 12
we'll-
steps.
We'll come back to talk about him more in
Yeah.
acquisitions.
Sure.
I mean, you can just leave your camera on him the whole show. Like it'll wait. It'll wait. There we go.
Huffer has spoken.
We're the Huff podcast. So the other thing that's been happening with the Kingdom Wave 2 Deluxes is they have been seen in Maya stores this week, but there's been a national spate of people picking them up and taking them to the checkout at Maya, only to be told that the product has been recalled and they're not allowed to purchase it.
Oh no!
I know it's a like it's been annoying people enough that there's been multiple posts about it every day. The word that we've had is that Maya is not meant to sell them until March 29, which which is another week away. So, yeah, if you go into Myer and you see them on the shelf, try buying them if you want. But yeah, it's very likely that they will take them away from you at the checkout. I don't know why.
Better choice is go and hide them somewhere. Go and take them, put them under cushions and couches, wherever.
Just get them to put it away on lay-by for you or something, so you can pick them up on the 29th. But yeah, so the word is they're not meant to sell them until the 29th. Why the 29th? We don't really know. Like, the figures have already been released globally, so there's no real like street date or embargo. But maybe there's a sale that's happening sometime on the 29th. We'll find out. So anyway, that's pretty much it for local release updates. Let's get back to talking about some news, shall we? Look at these guys.
Yes.
Netflix Wave 3 has suddenly popped up in the US. Like, the way that the cycle has worked with the Netflix figures has usually been that there is a launch, they announce the figures, and then we have to wait several months for them to come out. And then Australia has to sort of wait for that 1-2 week period in September where Kmart stores may or may not stock up on the things. However, we've definitely seen in the US a surprise release of Netflix Wave 3 Deluxe figures. So we're looking at Cheetor, who we've seen the updated paint job for Cheetor before. The Decius Army drone, which is a black and grey repaint of the Ironhide mold. The Ironhide mold is pretty well released, pretty well received out of Siege, so that's sure to be popular. There is deep cover now. Tony, you said that you were hoping that there'd be a deep cover in the Netflix line a week or two ago, didn't you?
I did actually. When we were talking about the other version of deep cover, I speculated that the second version, because remember the ad on Hasbro Pulse for deep cover, it referred to a second version. I speculated that it would come from Netflix, and I was proven right by this photo. So
very good.
It's pretty cool.
So his colours are reversed over the regular deep cover. I say regular. The Gen Select deep cover release from earlier in the year. Wherever that figure is blue, this one's black, and where that one's black, this one's blue. However, it's a blue side swipe, and so like I love that side swipe mold. I'm going to buy it. Less fond of the Sparkless Bot, which is the final figure. It's another Siege Datsun repaint. We've seen this come up several times before. It's got a very extensive paint job on it with sort of the rust on it, but it's not really grabbing me as something that I want to have in my collection. So these hit the stores. These hit Walmart shelves in the US this week, and then some official photos of them came out from retailers. So like I've just brought up the one of deep cover because like I love that mold. I'm definitely going to buy it. What's everyone's thoughts on the figures for Wave 3? It's is it only 4 deluxes for Wave 3? I feel like the other waves have been more than 4 figures. Maybe this is a smaller wave. Or is this are the rest yet to be revealed, do you think?
There might be 1 or 2 Voyagers to add to it. And some...
Well, no. So we're just talking about the deluxes. We do have Voyagers coming up later.
Oh, okay.
But, no, but like just very specifically, like I feel like there's been more than 4 deluxes in previous waves.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good example of being able to milk the molds for all they're worth. Like, I feel like Sideswipe, as amazing as that mold is, we're getting to the end run here now. Like, how many times you can actually...
I think we are. I don't think they'll milk this mold going forward in further years, right? Like, I think this might be the end of it.
The cow is dry.
Those teas are dry.
People are saying that they would like a clamp down, and I don't think we're going to get it.
Yeah, because see, I think you were saying before, like we got a blue one, we got a red one. Obviously, we had a white one with Red Alert. We got a yellow one with Tiger Track.
For a green one.
Green one.
I'd like a green one, please. That's
the only remaining primary color that hasn't been used yet.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd sort of again, I am a little skeptical about how well these will sell, because I know that Beast Wars fans were annoyed about the coloring of Cheetor in this Netflix line versus the Kingdom version of Cheetor.
But were they annoyed because they prefer this? Because everyone has put them side by side. Like they're like, well, I'd rather buy this one.
Yeah, again, I'm not a Beast Wars fan, so maybe Brad, you can fill us in. But apparently, the coloring on the Cheetor in the Netflix line is more cartoon accurate than the Kingdom version was. Is that correct?
Let's go into this, shall we? Jason, you told me not to comment on these figures because they're not Beast Wars, they're Kingdom. So they should not be compared to Beast Wars at all because they're completely different characters. Elaborate.
So
Back me up.
so my point is that you can't say, hey, this doesn't look the way that it's meant to, because it looks the way that Hasbro wants it to look, but it is Cheetor from Kingdom, right? It's not Cheetor from Beast Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So whether, I don't know how Cheetor looks in Kingdom. Maybe this is more accurate to how he looks in Kingdom. Maybe this is more of a throwback to how he looks in Beast Wars. I don't know, but I think the point was also that you were commenting more on the cartoon plot line as well, which is that my point was, hey, it's not actually Beast Wars. It's a different show. It's called Kingdom. So it's going to echo some of the things that went from these lines before, but they are not the toys. And you know what? If you want the old Cheetor, he's being reissued, so you can bring him.
Not
up as well.
not only that, you can buy the original one for $10 to $20. The Masterpiece one, okay, it's more expensive. It's of course a lot more detailed and everything else. I don't, and we're going to get to this later with the Beast Wars stuff too. I don't see the need. This stuff's Kingdom, fine. It's for new line, new collectors, all this stuff. Go. I don't. Okay, let's not compare because there's nothing to compare.
Okay. So anyway, do you prefer this paint job to the Kingdom Cheetor?
I haven't seen the Kingdom. I can't tell the difference. I haven't seen either.
So some people have had the reaction that they do. Generally, the Netflix Cheetor has darker limbs, so around the shoulders and stuff, and they seem to be shinier in the paint. So people feel like that's a better representation of Cheetor, whether or not it's from Kingdom or from Beast Wars or from the 30 seconds at the end of Earthrise or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
But so there are people who prefer this deco, and they would have preferred that this was the version of the game that came out in Kingdom. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be the same price at the stores. You can sell the other one if you want.
But I'm seeing a bit of a theme here, though, Jace, because this, we talk about the dark colors for Cheetor. The same thing happened with Earthrise Prime and the Netflix Prime, if you recall, where the coloring on the blues on Prime Netflix were a lot darker. And I remember saying at the time on this podcast that actually they looked a lot better. And I still stand by that compared to the Earthrise one. And don't get me wrong, Earthrise is amazing, but this one just popped. The color on the Prime Netflix Prime just popped. And I can see the same thing with this one.
I haven't actually held the Netflix Prime in my hand.
Okay.
The main reason, so I like the Earthrise one. I feel like it's a more sort of G1 throwback. So G1 doesn't G1 in terms of the cartoon doesn't have dark shades, right? Everything's brightly colored and it's all primary colors. And so that to me makes the Earthrise Prime a better representation of how I like to remember my Prime in there. And maybe it makes the Netflix one a better representation of how he looks on screen. But I don't really recall the Netflix Prime having a dark blue on his legs. It's just a blue. But
are we going to have a disagreement about colors again?
it's something about blues. But maybe it's just simply that the Netflix toy line has been rendered in Dolby HDR or something. You need to look at it with the right glasses on.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I just think that I'm not sure who this is designed for, to be honest. Again, some of these decisions that Hasbro makes around the figures that are included in the line confuse me a lot. Who is going to be interested in Decius's army drone?
Oh man, there's been so many people who are interested in Black Ironhide because
really,
Black Ironhide is a deep cut back to some of the special edition figures in G1. There was a G1 Black Ironhide that was an e-hobby variant, and so this calls to mind that. And so
you think this would tick that box for collectors?
I think it does. I think people have been calling that out for this reason. However, people have also been going, I hear that there's a black Ironhide, and I think when they look at this, it's sort of like, no, it's more of a grey.
Here we go.
Like, I think no, like he's a mess. Like he looks like he's been half painted.
Someone put him in the washing machine. That's why.
Yes, yeah, no, exactly. Like I would be totally in for a black Ironhide, and like when the leak came out and when the photo of this on store shelves came out, and everyone was like, "Look, it's a black Ironhide." I'm like, "Yes, I'll get that." And now I'm just like, "Ooh, I don't think I will." I'm just. So this is the third use, only the third use of this mold, right? We've had fourth. We had Ironhide, we had Ratchet, and we had a repaint, the white and red repaint in like the final wave of Siege.
Oh, that's right. Was it Crosshairs or
yes, it was Crosshairs.
Yeah,
and now Black Ironhide. So like this is only the fourth use of this mold. It is a very well received mold. This one's possibly slightly mistransformed, like the chest window is meant to be slightly off, but whatever. But yeah, like he looks more grey than he looks black to me. So like, yeah, I don't know if everyone clamoring for that black Ironhide is going to be as in for this one as they said they would.
Black Ironhide matters.
Ooh, how I wonder how that affects or leads into how many people wanted and didn't get Ratchet. And again, want to get something in this.
I wonder if people will get this so that they're like, well, he's got so much battle damage, he's basically white, so we can repaint him to Ratchet.
Yeah, if you're a medic in the field, you're gonna look like shit.
Yes. So the final figure is the Sparkless Bot. Now we've seen this guy many times over the last couple of months, and I don't like him any more now than I did before. But like, I am impressed at the level of dedication to his paint job that has been shown here. Like that is an all over roughing up paint job with rust textures and stuff. Well done, but I'm not sure that I like it. And also, how much of it, like how much do you have to just like abdicate the responsibility of coming up with names for these if this is just called Sparkless Bot?
Now I don't know if I'm dyslexic or not.
At least
but every time I don't know if I'm dyslexic or not, but every time I see this name, I keep thinking it's Sparkles. It's Sparkles. Yeah. It's like a rainbow bright kind of My Little Pony crossover type figure called Sparkles Bot. That's what I'm thinking every time I read it. Yeah.
So while we're complaining about the names, can we also talk about how the Black Ironhide is literally called Decius Army Drone?
Yeah. They couldn't have just called him Gary, right?
I mean, they could have, yeah. The last time they had a drone, he at least had a name. It was Centurion. It's like the Centurion was the Centurion drone with the weaponizer pack from Gen Selects, but like it just sort of says to me that they've just really just gone, well, we don't really care what happens in this wave of the figures. You know,
based on what Brad was saying, maybe we should just rename him, right? Let's call him Ratchet Light or something like that. Not quite Ratchet. I can't believe it's not Ratchet.
He's NQR. He's not quite Ratchet. Yes, that's right.
I've got one. Autobot Spike.
Ooh, okay.
He's not as parted out as what Autobot Spike is, but surely that's got to be another reason to use its mold.
Did you say Spike or Spark?
Spike.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, fair enough. I would also just point out the artwork on the side of the box seems to show him as far more alive than the Sparkle actually is. And there's one thing that I did notice about these boxes as well. Like, these boxes are subtly different to the Wave 1 and 2 deluxe boxes. The War for Cybertron Trilogy logo is slightly higher up on the box, and I think that's because there's also no plastic tray within. The figures are tied to the cardboard back like they are in Kingdom. And I think that's part of Hasbro's effort to reduce the use of plastic on the boxes. So the window on the front of the box is slightly reduced because they've put the logo up higher. That's a bit of inside baseball.
While we're on Cheetor,
Cheetor, okay.
Yeah, transgressing a little bit. So you're telling me that people have an issue with Hasbro releasing something then changing the color scheme down the track?
Go on.
Is that what's happened?
Maybe.
It's okay. All right. Okay. Part 2. Why has no one complained about the size of that goddamn cheetah's head on his chest?
Oh,
That
'cause
is
no, because people love that because it's actually the real head of the figure of the.
Yeah,
beast.
but that's not Beast Wars. So, okay. All right, we're going. We're circling around.
No, so
Right,
so this is the thing. Everyone thinks that the new Cheetor is great because he doesn't have a fake head.
that's not Beast Wars. Yeah, okay. Let's see what Kingdom does. I want to see that. I want to see that cat head on the front of that animation model. If it's not,
Oh,
we're
you
coming
mean what the
back to it.
Netflix show does?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be there because they're all based on the toy the toy CAD designs. So yeah.
That's what they've done previously. So yeah.
I
We'll
think
see.
this one still
So-
has the same problem that the Kingdom Cheetor had as well, with the tab at the back of that head not
It's
clipping
very
in or
likely.
breaking off. Yeah.
I don't think they've had time to fix that
No.
between releases. So yeah, that's still very likely. As far as the what happens in the Netflix series, right? All bets are off. They didn't
Oh, yeah.
they didn't use any of the Earthrise figures in the Earthrise series. They still stuck to the
Correct.
Siege molds. So we've seen what we think is Dinobot at the end of Earthrise, and that's it. Like, Dinobot could be the only beast character in Kingdom on the Netflix show. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's worth pointing out, this is the third version of this, and we've got a Decius army drone, which probably means that the Quintesson's going to come back after them in the Kingdom series. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't.
But that wouldn't surprise me that they wouldn't have that many Beast Wars characters in that show, because it would just be another disappointment in a long line of disappointments from that TV show.
Yeah, dog, we heard you like disappointment, so we put some disappointment in your disappointment. Let's move on.
And before add to it too, that Dinobot didn't look anything like the figure. So
Is that right? Okay, right, all right.
The Dinobot doesn't look anything. You mean the Kingdom?
it was a dinosaur. It was a dinosaur with a robotic eye. Look at Kingdom
Oh.
Dinobot in its alt mode. There's panel forming and legs and shit everywhere.
Right.
Well, so maybe that's actually how they've managed to squeeze in the beasts for Kingdom, right? Like maybe they've just borrowed the models from Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous, and like they'll just have them perform in beast mode all the time. Who knows? Maybe that's season 3 of Camp Cretaceous will be when all the dinosaurs transform into their robot modes. No one knows what Camp Cretaceous is. Brad's gone. Brad's gone because I mentioned Jurassic
Don't
Park
bring
Camp
that up.
Cretaceous.
Don't bring that up.
It really is. Oh man! All
There's a
right,
silent protest next.
all right. Let's move on. We do have some more of the the Kingdom figures. So these are the Voyager packs. Now, Voyager wise, we have two releases coming up in this third wave. Third wave is probably likely to be the final one as well. So we have Optimus Primal with a repack of Core Class Rat Trap. Now, if Australian pricing holds true for this will be very worthwhile because it's a $50 figure with a $20 figure, and it should be $50. I am not entirely sure whether or not Primal actually has any different paint applications. He does seem a little bit darker than the Kingdom release, but I couldn't really confirm or deny that. And I'm also not sure about Rat Trap's colours, but they are coming in a 2-pack, which is loading at the moment, and that's how they'll look on store shelves. This one makes it really obvious that the logo has been moved a little bit higher up the box. Yeah. So the first Voyager figure is the Maximal Optimus Primal. Here's a Voyager repaint from Kingdom. It's the second release of that figure inside 6 months, but I'm not sure if it's going to get a third, so we'll see. There's Rat Trap, and coming up is the next use of the Siege Seeker mold, which is the Sparkless Seeker, or Sparkles, as Tony might have read it. Which is ironic because like he's dark as fuck. But yeah, so the Sparkless Seeker, he comes with, I think it's 2 Battle Masters. So there's a Sparkless Singe and a Sparkless Caliburst, and at least those guys have a color scheme. But the Sparkless Seeker is just basically mud colored. Yeah. What's your thoughts? So, are you guys Seeker collectors? Like, does this tick any boxes in terms of being a Seeker that you want to put into your collection?
You know I'm a Seeker collector because I collected the Rainmakers and Red Wing as well. But this one, I'm going to have to be a hard pass on this one.
Hard
Just
pass.
this mud color, it's so, and it's intended to be lifeless, right? Sparkless, but it doesn't do anything for me because of this the color palette that's being used.
A lot of people are saying that they see Acid Storm in him.
Yeah. Okay.
You've already
Well,
got an
that-
Acid Storm, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I do, and
do-
I've reached the limit of wanting to have another one. Anyway, so I've sort of maxed out.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Brad, any thoughts?
Yeah, nah.
Is that
I'm
no
still-
thoughts or don't want? Do not want.
I'm still waiting for a decent Tetrajet design. I got the Siege Starscream. I didn't go for any of the others because they're not something I want to collect. Especially looking there, you can just see the knees, the legs, all that shit hanging under the jet. And for
This is that design, so yeah.
yeah, and a non character, it's no.
And that's kind of the thing, right? Like, it is a non-character. I mean, Hotlink wasn't particularly a character that was really well known in the show either, but like, yeah, this is just a non-character. It's just a dead bot. Have they run out and scraped the bottom of the barrel?
If they had 20 of these in the background somewhere, zombie-ish, going for Galvatron Spark or something in the cartoon, and yeah, maybe you'd troop build it, but
Mate, do you want to write the third season of the Netflix show? That sounds awesome. It sounds better than what we're going to get.
they're sparkless. They need a spark, so they're going to have to try and steal it from someone.
The Walking
they
Dead
can-
meets the Transformers.
I mean,
Yeah.
they could find all their sparks with sparkles.
Well, this would be 28
They
days
could-
later
they
because they can move fast.
They could be the My Little Pony crossover, but yeah. Or maybe it'll be Rainbow Bright, but yes. I don't know. You know, so I think the appeal of a lot of these figures really rests on how much of a drought there's been at retail when they get released.
Yeah.
So like, I wouldn't have expected a lot of people to pick up Megatron in the Netflix series because Megatron had just been released already. But no, people went crazy for him, and they liked the paint job as well. This might look better when it's in hand. Who can tell? We just don't know. He might be a keeper. We'll see.
Do you know what I think Hasbro were thinking of when they'd made Sparkless Seeker and the other one, the drone as well? What I think they wanted to do was create, I guess, a market for those who like to army build. Similarly, like if you think about the Ninja Turtles, like you know how that the foot soldiers, you could actually buy packs of the foot soldiers just to build out your army and your play sets.
In fact,
I wonder
NECA
if this
has
is what
just,
they were
NECA
going
has
for.
just announced a TMNT foot soldier is being released. So
Right, there you go.
People
There
are
you
going
go.
to army build that.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether they thought that this was going to be like the great way to build a Decepticon army, and then the Datsun mold that we saw of Sparkless was going to be the great way to build the Autobot army.
But like, if that was the thing, then they could have brought back the Viacon concept from Prime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
True.
I'm just going to throw up one comment from a live viewer, which says, "I think it will work in person. It suits the Decepticons color schemes, which is in the show they're quite dark. Yeah, we'll see."
Yeah. I can't complain because I've got about 9 Gnaws up there hanging off Masterpiece Grimlocks. So
There you go.
the problem with troop building though is this being a Voyager, you're $45 to $50 per stink to just have your soldiers build out in the battlefield, and then maybe $30 for the other one.
I'm going to throw one other comment in purely because it will assuage Tony's ego. I think Tony is on the money, and you could build a zombie army.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jonathan Hawkins.
Hey, season one of Prime, when the army of Cybertron's heading for the space bridge, you could have half a dozen of these in there as seekers, and it'd fit.
I get the zombie army thing. I just don't think that 2 molds gets you there.
Yeah, true.
I don't know.
Plus, but then the other thing too is like releasing stuff like this gets us our individual beasts. A lot of those figures won't be repainted. There's no repaints you can do of them. We talked before about Galvatron, how you could do a cartoon or the grey version.
Yep.
Getting your repaints there. Like these are the repaints. There's Seekers. Jason, you've got 35 of the Generation Seekers. Like they're there to be repainted and resold, and collectors will buy them. And that's what this is. It's another version of the Seekers.
That took them 12 years.
Well, yes, it hasn't been 12 months, but still.
No, this is the thing. That took them 12 years. Now we're up to 10 inside 2.
Yeah. Guess what? They're multiplying exponentially. We're
Like
going
gremlins.
Another comment confirms, yes, he could be used as an Acid Storm without the garish green, because Acid Storm's colours are usually very bright green, and this is a lot more subtle, because it is. It does actually seem a greenish colour when you sort of look at his. If I can find the jet mode, it does seem to be a little bit green, but yeah.
This sounds like the kind of project that Michael Fichet would love.
It sounds like it, yes. That's right.
Yeah. But you imagine something like this being a little bit less in price because it's lacking the paint apps of a normal figure that customizers just go to work. They can make it anything.
Yeah.
Also, I actually think it's interesting that like they've sort of taken that equation and flipped it on its head with the Netflix line, right? It's like, well, we didn't have to put a lot of effort into designing these figures because they were already designed for another line. So, hey, here's some extra paint apps to make it worth the money. Stunned silence. Brad's about to leave.
No, I just yawned.
Fair enough. I probably would have that argument too. Let's move on. There is one more figure that's been revealed in the Netflix line for Wave 3. It is the spoiler box for Wave 3. It's been a disappointment, I think you have to say. So the people have been assuming that it's going to be a leader class figure. They assume that it's going to be a repaint of Megatron, the Beast Megatron, into T-Rex. It is a Megatron. It's just not the one that we wanted. The spoiler box appears to be quite thin on figures this time around. We have the Voyager Netflix coming back for another go, in this time in a bigger box, and the purple crystal version of Paleotrex, which has leaked several times now. So it makes sense that the other figure in this didn't leak because it's just Megatron. No one assumed that would be the case. There's a couple of interesting accessories that come with him, right? So Megatron has a cool battle armor thing, and for once Megatron comes with the Matrix, which makes the plot of Kingdom could potentially be quite interesting. But he's got this cool sort of like battle belt thing holding the Matrix around his chest. The dimensions of it, the orientation of it do look a little bit awkward, but we'll see. It might work. So yeah, we've got a Voyager Netflix Megatron with a purple Paleotrex, which technically means that this should hopefully be a cheaper spoiler box than the other ones. Maybe this is the reason why. Maybe this is the reason that this box is coming in. Like maybe the other Netflix spoiler boxes have been shelf warming. They might be seen as a little bit too expensive. So what do you guys think? Would you rather see a leader figure in this box?
Is anyone planning on buying this?
No.
Yeah.
Actually, no. A lot of people are planning on buying it to get the purple Paleotrex.
Disgusting.
See, at this point in the line, this is where you'd have to sit Hasbro down and basically ask, "Are you feeling okay? Are you okay?" Because I don't understand the thought process that went into this to repackage yet another Megatron mold when they'd already done the Netflix Megatron so successfully, as you said before, Jace. I don't understand the rationale for this at all. The only real difference you see here is obviously the change in Paleotrex's colors, which okay, fine, and that cool little bandolier that's holding the Matrix, which from memory doesn't even exist in the show at this point, from what we've seen so far.
That's a great word. I can't remember. I can't remember whether it exists. No, bandolier.
Oh, bandolier.
Yeah, I can't remember if the Matrix exists in the show. Why does it not exist?
I don't think it's come up though, right? I don't think Prime has ever pulled anything out of his chest. I don't think anyone's...
It sounds like he'd be arrested for that these days. But like,
cancelled. Let's cancel him.
Yeah, we'll cancel Prime.
But I don't get it, guys. I didn't get the Ultra Magnus version either. The one that was like the Ultra Magnus that had been thrown into a fire and then packaged up and then sold as a product. I didn't get that one either. But
it's the Firestarter Magnus.
Yeah, but he's good for barbecues. But I feel like this isn't one of those things where I would sit there and go, I must have this. And again, we saw the Kmart Ultra Magnus spoiler boxes just sit there for ages. And at my local Kmart, someone had actually done everyone a favor and ripped the box open and strewn all the contents across the shelves. And I was like, well, no one was going to buy it anyway, so you might as well have some fun.
I'm gonna bring in one comment to sort of talk about plot points. Jonathan Hawkins says, "I hope they actually use the fossilizers in show, and that there is some epic team up like in Cyberverse with Megatron using the Matrix to overcome something."
Oh.
Now that to me gets a little bit interesting, right?
Yeah.
One, I don't see them using the fossilizers in the show because like they've avoided things like the Micromaster teams and anything smaller than a regular deluxe in the show. I don't know. It's entirely possible that they avoided adding characters in Earthrise so that they could do it in Kingdom. Who knows? The other part of that is that an epic team up like in Cyberverse with Megatron using the Matrix, that to me makes it possible that there will be an epic team up in Kingdom where Megatron has to use the Matrix to overcome something, because that's kind of what DeSanto does. He just cribs from other Transformers universes. Ooh, there we
lazy.
go. I said it.
Yeah, he's a lazy
could
writer.
you imagine if the fossilizer is the same size as Rat Trap? He comes in, fights Rat Trap. Rat Trap starts to beat him. He goes back. 15 other fossilizers come in. All their bones crumble down, and then they rebuild into T-Rex the size of Megatron, which isn't how skeletons work.
Now you've merged it with the plot of Age of Extinction, where like everything can like break down and reform into different pieces. Like
You've just DeSanto'd the script.
They're bones.
Yeah.
The bones collapse, and then they come back to form something else.
I mean, it's not a Super Mario game.
Let's go.
I was going to let that joke land for a bit, but yeah. So look, I have to say it's my hope that this figure will be at a cheaper price point than the existing spoiler packs. However, sorry, I will just point out, like you do actually make an interesting point, because the fossilizers are actually deluxe figures, right? So this is a $50 figure and a $30 figure. So like I could see them charging $80. I could see them charging $90 for it. I'm sort of moving it into a leader class price point, because there's two figures for that and a couple of accessories, right? There's not that many accessories. There's a Matrix, there's an orange ball, and there's a couple of blast effects. It's pretty light as far as effects goes.
In my opinion, that $50 plus $30 equals $80 or more. That is a good example of the sum of the parts being less than the whole, because I would not be paying $80 for that piece of shit. This is horrible. I'm sorry. I'm being very negative, but I don't like it.
Oh, I'm going to join you, because I want to know how many people want to buy another Siege Megatron just to get all this shit with it for more than the $45 price tag. Where you probably get on the TCA buy sell trade, you can probably get a Siege Megatron for $20.
Correct.
And you could probably get someone to make you the what did you call it? The bandolier.
Bandolier, yeah, like what Rambo used to have. In fact, actually, this looks more like what He-Man used to wear. Yeah, that little thing that went over his shoulder.
It's been pointed out that this is basically the He-Man version of the Matrix. So, yeah.
And also, Megatron's got a sword, so that's great. He's got the power.
Yeah. Well, does he have the touch, or will he get cancelled if he does?
Yeah, Megatron.
You wise guy, huh? All right, let's move on. There's the last story for tonight. We do have the Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest coming up April 9th. Now, like this is actually a long way into the future, right? So this is like 20 days in advance. It's been called. Now, if you recall, last year Hasbro Pulse had their PulseCon around October, November last year, and they made a lot of product announcements. And so we've got a fairly lengthy paragraph from the press release announcing the Pulse Fan Fest. It's going to be an online convention with like interviews and shit like that, just like PulseCon was. Everyone freaked out that PulseCon was only going to be like streamable in the US, but it was streamable globally. So The description for Pulse FanFest for Transformers says worlds continue to collide on Transformers. Join members of the Hasbro marketing and design team. That sounds like a fun time as they reveal toys from Wave 3 Kingdom and share some exciting news about the final chapter of Netflix Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy. Don't miss out. Okay, we won't because we can replay the stream as we take a closer look at Kingdom Commander and Titan class figures, including a first-time character to appear in toy. And if you thought this is really well written, like it's clear the marketing team has been doing a bang-up job. And if you thought the Pulse exclusive weapons pack was epic, you'll find the next one to be a blast. Hello, spoilers. Finally, we will reveal a new Pulse exclusive toy capsule in partnership with IDW Publishing that will turn the Transformers universe upside down. Get ready for a panel that's more than meets the eye. There's a lot to parse there. There's a lot to parse there. So let's get into it, right? So,
Yep.
you know, I'm gonna take the Pulse artwork down, and like we'll just put the three of us or the two of us up. Right. So, what are we looking at? We've got the. In fact, Tony, could you put Huffer back up? So,
Yes, I can. That can be arranged.
cool. Just put Huffer up and like zoom the camera in on his head, so at least it looks right.
Here we go.
So obviously, like Wave 3 Kingdom, that's pretty much a given at this point because Wave 2 is now out, and so Wave 3 needs to be announced in order to be released. And the final chapter of Netflix's War for Cybertron trilogy could be exciting news about the Netflix show, or it could be an official announcement of the figures that have already made it out. In fact, it's probably not an official announcement of those because they seem to be already officially announced. I believe they're up on Pulse now as well, so probably not. But it might just be a trailer or something like that for Kingdom. Does anyone have any thoughts on what the Wave 3 of Kingdom and the War for Cybertron Netflix announcements will be?
Haven't we seen most of it already?
Not Wave 3 of Kingdom. Like, we've seen Galvatron. Don't know.
Oh,
don't know what else.
yeah.
I would have thought Trax would be in there somewhere, Jace.
Trax is rumored, but hasn't been confirmed. Like, this will be confirmation of a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing for Wave 3 of Kingdom, I'm thinking would be like, I'm hoping it would be the cancelled Gears. Do you remember when they had that artwork for Kingdom and they published it? And then there was a last-minute removal of Polar Claw and Gears from the poster. I'm hoping that somehow there's been some kind of reversal and they've decided to get Gears in there. That's just my personal view.
So I think what ended up happening with that is that they're in the promotional artwork. They weren't removed, but they were cancelled from the line because they couldn't make the toys work or something like that. But yeah, I suspect that like the last part of the last third part of a trilogy that we got, which was Power of the Primes. I think Kingdom's going to be a short toy line. I think it might go to Wave 3 and it might be it. So I think Wave 3 of Kingdom might be it for the line. So whatever's going to come in the second half of the year will be interesting. We've had rumors that there's going to be that redone Menasor, but that's not what they're going to announce here. So like they're going to announce what's in Wave 3 of Kingdom. Whether they announce that that's it or not, we'll find out. And I assume there'll be a trailer for War for Cybertron. Let's talk about the Kingdom Commander and Titan class figures, including a first-time character to appear in toy. We know what the Commander class figure is. We know that it's Rodimus. We talked about him a lot last year. The Titan class figure has been rumored to be the Ark, which does match up with the idea of it being a first-time character to appear as a toy. They haven't done an Ark toy as a character before. They have done Ark toys, but they've been tiny. So there's also speculation based on the Kingdom poster that came out that the Ark is actually going to transform into a Marvel Comics character called the Last Autobot. And so that's fine. I'm skeptical of this. I myself am skeptical of this. There's a lot of it based on the fact that the head design looks like the Autobot symbol, and so the Last Autobot looks like the Autobot symbol as well, which would still match being a first-time character to appear in toy. Now, Hasbro has also quite enjoyed digging back into Japanese releases with Gen Selects, and definitely going into the comics references as well. So, like, I don't know. I think I think there is a bit of an outside chance that the Ark might actually be the last Autobot.
Now, for those of us who don't know about The Last Autobot, what's the 10-second version of the story for The Last Autobot?
So the Last Autobot is a character that was revealed to be living, I think, within Cybertron in the Marvel US series in the 80s, and he sort of like was awakened, sort of like they try to wake up Primus and stuff here and there, and he was awakened and saved them all, some shit. But yeah,
right.
That's
so
that's it.
his so his the Ark or his spirit haunts the Ark.
We don't know. But
Okay.
in the poster, in the Kingdom poster, which I really wish I had up to put on screen share, in the Kingdom poster that came out that caused a lot of speculation with Gears and Polarclaw and things like that. There was a large character in the background that had obvious sort of like orange arcs around him that looked like it's a transformed version of the Ark, and his face looked like the Autobot logo, which led a lot of people to say, "Hey, the Ark is the last Autobot."
Right.
And it does,
right.
like, it sort of makes sense if the Ark is in fact the last Autobot, right? Like, you know, when the chips are down, when you think everything's going to go really badly, he'll transform in the last episode of the show and save them all. Ooh, spoiler. But yeah.
I think you're giving the writers and DeSanto way too much credit. That sounds too creative.
I'm not, because they've already done it in the 80s in the Marvel comics. So like, I fully expect.
Oh,
them
so
to
that's right up
steal that.
DeSanto's alley. Got it.
Certainly is. So finally, the exclusive... No, not finally. The second last thing. It looks to me like the exclusive weapons pack follow-up will be a Blast, which we could well read as being a Blast Effects pack. Now, that I'm definitely in for. That sounds super fun. Who else is there for that?
Effects the figures, yeah.
I'd be there. I would be there if they said it would be a Blaster. That would be better. A Blaster. I'd love that.
Well, so that is an interesting point. We have had a Soundwave with no blaster, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, you know, what if it's actually a blaster with a blast effects pack? Like Centurion was a figure with an accessories pack. Wow.
Don't get excited. Just wait until we see a photo.
Yes, yeah.
I would go nuts.
It basically makes me sound like a WandaVision theorist, going like, "Oh my god, they're going to do X, Y, and Z," and then they do one, and it's like, "Oh,
It was Blaster all along.
yes."
Nice. Well done.
It was a blast effects pack all along. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so the final part is a new Pulse exclusive toy capsule. Now, can someone tell me what the fuck a toy capsule is?
Isn't that what the Botbots come in?
Oh.
No? Yes? No?
Oh.
The ball?
Yeah, maybe. Oh,
Capsule
I don't know.
Corp? Dragon Ball? Ball?
I don't know. Like, I think I'm hoping it's not a Botbot, but yeah.
Just don't worry. We're going to get Studio Series Botbots by the end of the year, so...
Well, they'll have their own TV show next year, so maybe they will.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought a
does
toy
make-
capsule was medicine that you take when you actually have a plastic crack addiction. Yeah, you take some toy capsules and then...
No, that's called placing an order at RoboToys.
Well, Nor's Noya capsule, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Bend over,
So-
it's depository.
So there's something happening. So this last one's an interesting one, right? Like there's something happening with IDW that they say will turn the Transformers universe upside down. What
They're
would
going to
turn
invert their
the-
books.
What would turn the Transformers universe upside down other than a shattered glass thing, right?
Yeah.
So do you think it's possible that there might be a shattered glass comic coming?
They've already done Unicron, haven't they? Didn't he ended the comic run not long ago?
So Unicron ended the first IDW universe. I don't think they're ready to end the second one. I think I actually wonder, given that it is a partnership with IDW, people are thinking that it's an IDW character coming to be a Pulse exclusive, but I actually wonder if it might actually be so there's some speculation that the theme for Gen Selects this year is shattered glass, and that's not really been borne out by the Gen Selects that we've seen so far, right? We've seen Deep Cover, we've seen Transmutate, we've got a G2 Ramjet. Like, none of these are actually shattered glass. So if there is going to be a shattered glass thing, maybe it's happening in the later half of the year. And maybe there'll be a Transformers Shattered Glass comic later in the year. I don't know. This sounds awesome, which is probably why it's not going to happen.
Let's borrow from other franchises, shall we? Terran Universe, Multiverse. You've already said Shattered Glass.
I mean, like, that's what Shattered Glass is. Like, it's a parallel
Yeah.
universe. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're going to put Scourge's beard on Optimus Prime.
Yeah. I'm just curious about the wording of a toy capsule. Like, is a capsule a thing that contains multiple things? So, like, is it a small run toy line or something? But I don't know. We'll find out. I think that's going to be something that might leak out in the next couple of weeks. We'll see, or it'll be a big surprise that's going to come up on April the 9th. So yeah, look, FanFest is on April the 9th. There's going to be panels and things that happen. Let me just bring us back up to. There we go. Hasbro Pulse FanFest on April 9th. There's going to be like multiple panels. It's just going to be like a product announcement fest. People have been wondering why there's been no Fan First Friday for Transformers for a while, and this is probably why. They're sort of banking everything up to make the big announcements April 9th. So I think that's about it.
Rest assured, there'll be a leaked photo of a figure, and it'll go global, and it won't be the figure. I've had that with
absolutely true.
I've had that with Mattel this week. It just someone bike roll. Yeah, just we'll get releases, we'll get leaks when it's out. We'll report it. We'll talk about it.
All right, we shall. All right, let's move on. So that's about the end of the news, but we are going to talk about acquisitions, and I don't actually have any acquisitions to talk about this week. Brad, do you have anything that you want to talk about?
I didn't talk about these when I got them.
You've got the anime color Optimus
Yeah,
Prime
no, I'm
from
trying.
Siege.
It's Siege. It's not an Amazon exclusive. It's just a
35th anniversary one, right? With
got
Cell's
the
payment animation.
Yeah, Megatron and Optimus Prime. I wish they'd waited a year and done the Earthrise, because I've got the Earthrise Prime and it's a lot better than this one. Just to have the cell shading on. Yeah, it's a shame. But yeah.
It still looks good though.
Yeah, he's got some bits where there shouldn't be bits, but don't we all? Don't we all? So yeah, that's all I've got to say.
That's your acquisitions week. Tony, if you're going to put your camera back on to talk about your acquisitions, then I will switch to you.
I am. I'm going to start with this guy.
Hello.
We are looking at Kingdom Ultra Magnus.
Kingdom Ultra Magnus.
Which is, I feel like this is the first time someone's actually acquired Kingdom Ultra Magnus in TCCA and put him up for a look-see and photos. So
yeah,
well done.
I think
Thank
that's
you very
right.
much.
No worries at all. Happy to share, guys. But this was interesting for me because this is what kicked off my week of Kingdom Wave 2 figures. But there were a couple of, when I posted it up on the TCCA Facebook page, there were a couple of questions from people like Rob Franklin around size and scale. So I wanted to address a couple of those quickly. Actually, you made a very good point, Jace, about the eyes. Now, if you look at the face, I'm not holding this very steadily, actually, but if you look at the face and the goggles that he's wearing, you know, they're very, I don't know, what would you say? They cover most of the eyes, I feel. And it's like he's kind of wearing sunnies.
Yeah. Which, like, so Ultra Magnus has different depictions in different bits of fiction, right? But in his G1 incarnation, I'm not so sure about the movie or the cartoon, but in the comics, he had these very thick, very big, very large lens things that covered his eyes. So I'm really happy to see that sort of come through on the toy. We totally can't see that because it's focused on your background. There we go. Like you can see it. Just try moving it a little bit closer now.
The cartoon or the movie definitely had bigger sunglasses than that. He had some big Ray-Bans.
These are slightly transparent, so like you can't quite see them all because you're still looking at the eye underneath them. But yeah, so I'm really happy to see that come through as like a design concept on it, because it is very much it's totally not working. Tony, you may as well just put it back down. Oh my god! Hey, okay, so we've got the
now
Siege
let's
one
compare
left.
it to the Siege version. Okay.
with
'Cause I
no
wanted to
glasses
do that.
whatsoever.
And hang on.
I really,
Now,
I
you
really
probably-
just want to like pinch to zoom your camera.
Yeah, yeah. Centralize. There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing with these cameras, guys.
Left.
You guys are the experts.
Left.
So, but you could probably see. Let's have a look. See if we can get his face better.
Enhance.
Okay. So can you see how
Enhance.
his eyes are quite narrow, and he's not
He's-
really wearing any glasses, right? And
He
he's
doesn't
also
have
got a bit of
glasses.
a smile on his face, right? He's got a bit of a sunny disposition. Then we
By
turn
the time,
to
by
our
the time
friend.
we get to Kingdom, like he's dead, so he won't be smiling.
That's true. But like they're very different molds in terms of the face sculpt. And I was quite surprised by this. The Kingdom version looks like he's seen a lot of shit. Like he's been through some stuff. And
he has.
you know, he's got bags under his eyes, so he has to wear big sunnies and stuff. But he's also got this face where he's hungover. Whereas the Siege guy just looks a lot happier overall.
I gotta say that looking at them side by side, right? People, when the Siege one came out, they were just like, oh, yeah, this is good enough as a G1 Magnus, right? And it's totally not now. Like,
No,
put it next
hell
to,
no.
put it next to Kingdom now. The Kingdom version is totally a better G1 Magnus, and it fits way better with the other Studio Series 86 bots. Just gonna say,
Totally agree.
Really happy to do that. I may even buy this one because I didn't buy the Siege one and I didn't buy the Netflix one. So maybe I'll buy this version. We'll see.
Yeah. So that was the first question from Rob about the scaling. So if you look at the two figures, they look quite good together. I think there's a lot more fuss and that silly battle damage that's on the Siege version, which is obviously absent from the Kingdom version. It makes it look a lot more movie accurate, which is excellent. There was another question about whether you can actually put the Matrix inside Kingdom Ultra Magnus's chest. Now, the answer is yes, you can actually do that. There's a pretty big chest cavity, which I'll try and show again. Flip this up. I don't know how well it comes out, but you can see the sort of the chest there. Behind there is a whole space where the white Optimus Prime type head has flipped over. But in there is so much room in there. And to transform him, by the way, you pull this chest cavity forward and you slide the back up. And so before you do that, there's plenty of opportunity to stick a Matrix in there. You could probably even fit a couple of battle damage
You could put a
things.
few. You could put a few.
Yeah,
Matrices
exactly.
in there.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in there for a couple of
He could be the
Matrixes.
nexus of all multiverses as far as the Matrix goes.
That's right. So it's actually quite interesting. You can do that. I think there was another question that Rob actually had around whether you can put sort of other deluxe cars on the trailer. So whilst I do this, Jace, can I just have a quick transforming sound effect from you?
Done.
Okay, so let's have a quick look here.
Yeah, good. Well done. Well done.
So here we go.
I totally.
this is
So can I just say I totally understand why you showed a photo of two of them in the store and said there's none left now. Go on.
Well, there were two in the store. I actually,
Yeah.
friend of, this is the other one my friend got. But anyway, the point is, if you have a look at the back of this thing, there is no room to stick a deluxe car in there, if you can see.
I mean, you
through
could stick
here.
a deluxe car on there because remember
Yeah.
G1
Yeah.
Magnus had 2 levels.
He
Yeah.
did. Now, the
It was a
bottom
deep
level,
body worked on multiple levels.
the bottom level is not going to work. But if I just use Hot Rod as a comparison, you can sit him quite well on the top,
Oh, look at that.
right?
I mean, I don't know why you'd like display them like this anyway, but whatever.
That wouldn't work, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting. There was a complaint I remember reading when this Ultra Magnus figure was first announced, and see how you've got the little fists in the back here,
Mm-hmm,
and people didn't like that. And I got to say, I don't like it either because also when you look
It
at
does
the
seem
front,
a little lazy, doesn't it?
it does massively. And also when look at the front, he's got these weird sort of things over here, right? These little ears, which I don't understand, right? Because they don't sit flush with the rest of the cab. So it's a very odd kind
The
of
smokestacks are in
design.
a weird position as well. I mean, like
They are.
I mean, Hot Rod's going to cop it.
Nice, Jackson.
Now, I don't know whether I've mistransformed it, but I don't think I have. I think this is the correct
No,
sort
this
of
matches
transformation.
the photos that I've seen.
Yeah, yeah. So Hopefully, Rob Franklin, that answers your questions about the Ultra Magnus figure. So I might move on then to the next acquisition.
But before you do move on, I just want to put up a comment. Jonathan Hawkins says, "God damn it, why did you have to show this and say it goes with the Studio Series box better?" Which he will, because now I'll have to buy a third Magnus.
Well, just Jonathan, do what I did and borrow the other Magnus. Yeah, that's right. Borrow the Magnus from one of your mates. That's what'll get you through. But here is Inferno. So
Inferno, yes. So
this guy
is the red version of the orange thing that's been on Maya's shelves for the last 12 months.
Yes.
And I gotta say, he looks so much nicer. So the red suits Inferno better than the orange suits Grapple.
And I'm going to say the light I'm looking at the screen right now, the coloring that you can see there does not do the actual figure justice, because it's a nice, almost darker red, but I can see on the screen it's coming up light, but it's a beautiful red. Like, this is the red that I would want for the Earth mode sideswipe when it eventually comes out, because it just looks amazing. So
could be announced at Pulse Fan Fest. We'll find out.
Hopefully that'll be a blast if they announce that. But this doesn't have the peg issue that we've often talked about, and which a couple of other people in the Facebook page have also noted. So it's actually very well designed. There's a couple of loose pieces, like these hose bits, for example, that come loose.
Did you just say something bad about Inferno's hose?
I don't want to give him a complex, but yeah, he's got some hose issues. So that's Inferno.
Don't talk crap about Inferno's hose. They will come to get you.
That's right. Him and Red Alert, they'll be on their way. And as we've already seen earlier today, we've got our little friend here. And I just wanted to put him
little friend
up against.
We are talking about Huffer. So, right,
Huffer, sorry.
We're talking about Kingdom Huffer. You've got Kingdom Huffer, and you've put him up against Netflix Bumblebee, just as a bit of a size comparison. Because
Masterpiece Bumblebee
and Cliff Jumper are often criticised for being very small on the deluxe scale. So it's good to see a bit of a relative scale there. So it looks to me like Huffer looks more like a bit of a standard deluxe. Like, do you know how he compares to, say, Sideswipe or things like that?
I don't have Sideswipe here, but no, I don't. I think he's probably obviously a little shorter than them, but just by how much I couldn't show you. But the reason why I showed this comparison was that I was actually very surprised that Huffer was this much taller than Bumblebee. I kind of thought he was, and we might have to check the old Sunbow scale chart, but I thought Huffer was meant to be the same size as Bumblebee. So when I pulled Huffer out of the box, and then all of a sudden he's taller, it was quite a surprise to me. And I don't know whether they've just been playing with the size because of the fact that he's a deluxe and they wanted to get more cash out. But Bumblebee's also sold as a deluxe, so why couldn't they have scaled him in a similar way?
I'm okay with Bumblebee being the size that he is.
I am too. It's the Huffer bit that I'm not worried about.
Yeah, fair enough. I have brought up the Sunbow scale chart, and I don't know how well this is going to work. I'm gonna bring the screen share back.
Yep.
I don't know how this works. Do I have to zoom right in on it or something?
Yeah, we're gonna have to zoom.
Can someone tell me where? No, this is terrible. I don't know how this is gonna work.
Go to the far right. Go to the right. You can see Bumblebee on the far right there. Yep. Stop.
There he is.
So it is. He is taller than Bumblebee.
He's about a head taller than Bumblebee.
There you go.
Like, so to be clear, like, we're talking about this bit here where my mouse is circling over. He's a head taller. He's also happy. Like, his arms are happy for doing. And so we'll bring Tony's screen. Like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And look, there's Happy Huffer.
Happy Huffer. So I guess that makes sense then, although that's, again, scale-wise, that still looks a little too tall. I get that the Sunbow chart showed him a little taller, but this is, it feels too tall. But anyway, great little figure, having said all of that.
Someone's commenting on live stream saying a truck is bigger than a VW. It's size.
Nice.
It's not magic.
And speaking of a truck, so again, can I have that transforming noise again, please, Jason?
Welcome to the Starlight Ballroom. Hey.
Here we
Whoa.
go.
Sorry, it went on a little bit. It went on a little bit long. We need a Transformers soundboard.
We do hit the MP3,
Yeah.
but this is him obviously from Heavy Metal War, that last episode of season 1, where he carried Prime's trailer around because Prime got his ass whooped by an overpowered Megatron. But you can see that this actually does scale quite well with the trailer, right? With
Yes,
Prime's
so
trailer.
I think we've known for some time that Alpha would go well with Prime's trailer from Earthrise, and I'm very happy to see it. I'm never going to display it this way.
No.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. But he's got like, if I pull off the trailer, you can see there's a couple of little ports here in the back here. That,
Jason Reddit says he needs to be that size to tow Optimus Prime's trailer as he does. I think it'd be harder to do this if he was Bumblebee's size. Very true. Very true.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, good point. But yeah, so the only interesting thing I thought to mention here, guys, was that the weaponry that comes with Huffer, and for some reason I've lost it, but it comes with like a little panel that sits
Have
across
you
the back
lost
here.
both sets of it?
I get it. The other one is my mate, so I hope I haven't lost it because I'm going to get in trouble. But the other one is a gun, right? And then the gun is meant to split in half, and one panel of the gun goes on this side,
just like the Revenge. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, that's right. And the other side goes on this bit here. So it's it's a very odd choice of weapon, I've got to say, to have his gun split in half. But there you go.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. Indeed.
There we go. So
that is it for acquisitions.
Yes, it is.
And I think
Big
that's
week.
pretty much it. Pretty much that's it for the podcast. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you are, if there's anything else that we should talk about before we bring the show to a close, now is the time to bring it up, guys. Anything that's been going on we should talk about? Brad would like to draw attention to the fact that he's conflicted about bringing something up.
When in doubt, go ahead, Brad. That's what I think we should do.
I just wonder how we perceive figures as what we've seen, what we're referencing to, those Magnusci that you brought up before with your photos. If it's going for that Netflix show Magnus or the G1 Magnus, the Siege Magnus looks shithouse compared to that. That could be a G1 figure, or that could be the Netflix show. Funnily enough, in the movies, whenever a Transformer has a cape, we at least get a cape on a Transformer. Why does Magnus not have its cape?
It'll come through in the Studio Series version.
Yeah. You've got the figures. I'm not going to talk down about them. It's okay. It's okay.
I don't mind. That's fine.
No,
Is it purely lack of cape?
No, I'm just still hung up on the Beast Boy shit. That's all right.
Fair enough.
Do you want Ultra Magnus to have a cape like that Seinfeld episode where George's dad's lawyer has a cape? Is that what you're after?
Thankfully, we can't rant or go into that because I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Classic Seinfeld episode. Anyway.
Yeah, probably. Just complaining about figures that are coming out now. What are you comparing them to? Are you trying to compare them to G1 Masterpiece stuff, comparing to G1 Siege, Fry's Kingdom? They're doing their own thing now. It helps when there's jaunty cape. Yeah, jaunty capes work.
Are you trying to say that? Oh, sorry, Brad, you go.
No, you're right. Try to put the words in my mouth because I'm failing.
What it sounds like you're saying is that with all these different figures and different sublines that are coming out, it is becoming increasingly crowded in the market for these toys, and that comparisons between them are becoming increasingly pointless because they exist as their own sublines. Is that what you are trying to say?
Well,
I
we need
think Brad
media.
was trying to actually draw comparisons between them, but you've shot that
Oh.
down.
Oh, right. Sorry, I might have missed it then.
I don't know. We need media. We're getting the Earthrise. We're getting all these Netflix stuff where we're getting figures released for it. That's fair enough. These, like Magnus there you got up there now, is from the Earthrise Magnus, which looks fantastic. I hope it's from the Earthrise Magnus. Yeah.
So comment on screen from anonymous Facebook user who hasn't clicked the link that I gave them. Says it's all turning a bit same.
Yeah, and that's why last episode you were talking about the BotBots cartoon and the new Nickelodeon cartoon going back to the children's thing, and maybe we're going to get new characters and that sort of thing, and just some freshness. It's good to see Beast Wars coming into it. What we're getting with Beast Wars is going to reflect on Kingdom. I'll wait to watch it to judge.
We've already judged it.
I think I get what you mean now, because what you're looking for, it sounds like, is variety. You just want a bit of fresh blood into whatever that comes next. So, like Jace was saying, if Wave 3 of Kingdom is it, then for the rest of the year, you're looking for something that's just new, that's not, representative of something that's come before. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, but it's hard to say that because, of course, we're going to keep doing Megatron, Prime, B, all that sort of stuff, and
I feel like this is something that comes up a lot. Like Transformers fans don't necessarily know what they want. They keep yelling at Hasbro, going, "Give us something different," and then they go, "Oh my god, Bumblebee! Oh my god, Galvatron! Oh my god, Optimus Prime! This is a great Optimus Prime. This is the greatest Prime ever. Please release him 5 times in the year, and I will buy all of them." It's like people keep complaining that there's no variety, but then when there's variety, they don't buy the figures.
Well.
Like you see some of the figures that are different, and they will sit on shelves because they're not the classic characters.
Well, we're saying before that box set of Megatron and Skeletor. It's just it's something different having bloody vertebrate Skeletrex, whatever its friggin' name was. All those skeleton bots. It's something different. Okay, it's got no interest. That's the problem, though.
That's kind of the problem, right? Like they've done something different. I'm completely not interested in it.
Yeah, and it's.
So are you saying that you would like them to do something different, but you would like them to do something different from the something different that they're doing?
My final thoughts.
Wait a second. Hang on. Dramatic.
We just went all
Brad.
just went all Jerry Springer all of a sudden. Jerry's final thoughts.
Well, that's what I was aiming for.
Who's the are you the security guard, Tony?
Steve, Tony.
Across the franchise, whether you love it or hate it, the franchise has been aimed at kids. G1, Prime, Beast Wars, animated, kid focused. As soon as they've started to try and go for this adult themed, bringing in comic characters, all that sort of stuff, personally, this is just coming from me, it hasn't worked. The BotBots new cartoon that's coming, the Nickelodeon cartoon that's coming, going back towards the kid-focused stuff, bit of comedy, just relax. It's Transformers. Who cares if Megatron is a water tank? It doesn't matter. Just have some fun with it. Let's see something different and be good to each other and yourself. I've been Jerry Springer. This is Transformers Weekly.
I must admit, I'm more confused about your message now than I was before, Brett. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I've made no sense, and I apologise to the listeners.
So you want something different.
No, can I attempt to summarize for the fifth time? Right, you're just a little bit dissatisfied with what you've got. You're a little bit dissatisfied with what's coming out, and maybe you're hoping that whatever's next appeals to you more.
Jason in the chat gets it.
Okay.
Yeah, be kind to yourself and each other.
But the shelf behind you is a testament, Brad, to you taking, I guess, comfort in a lot of the different lines that have come before. So I guess if Jason is correct about how you're thinking, then it's almost like you don't need to add anything else to your collection because you're done. You're good because you don't like what's coming out, right?
But
So
that's a good thing about the franchise that we've had so far. You might not like RID 2000 or the Unicron trilogy. Then we had animated, which brought a lot of people back in, and then the movies or the first couple of movies, Prime sprung from that. Okay, it's too much like the movies.
Cyberverse,
yeah. You're having these cartoons, and it's been one of my biggest problems with. We're having these cartoons, you're getting figures for the cartoons, and all of a sudden we're getting Generations figures which are doing the original figures again in better versions, better engineering, which was fantastic. There was no media for it, but it was just, we're getting that Ultra Magnus you've got on screen could be a classic Generations Ultra Magnus because it's G1 as hell, and you'd want it in your G1 collection because the G1 Magnus just stands there with his big shoulder guns. but then you start getting Kingdom, Siege, Combiner Wars, all these other stuff that are doing more collector-based stuff, which isn't really taking the original figure and updating it. It's just doing a rehash of the original figure and getting more and more and more of the spiral of shit. And it's sort of starting to come in now with the Beast Wars stuff. If you're a fan of Beast Wars, you've probably got the original figures. If you don't, apart from some of the Transmetal stuff and that, you've probably already got them, or it's easy to get on eBay. They're not overly expensive. They're not retail expensive what these new figures are going to be coming out, and they're not as expensive by far as what the Masterpiece stuff is either. It just depends what you want to collect, what you want in your display. If you want nostalgia, and that's what I was talking about before with that Galvatron, is that Galvatron fine? That's a Kingdom Galvatron or Earthrise, whatever just come. It's not a G1 Galvatron. There's Mania King. Jason, you scoffed about the Titans Return Galvatron. It looks like a G1 Galvatron, even though it's shitty engineering and the face and all that.
I feel like the Titans Return Galvatron and the Kingdom Galvatron are like very obviously the same character.
Yeah, but design, just that round chest, the more the cues to G1 and that sort of stuff. I'm not talking about engineering, of course. The Earthrise
Kingdom
one's going to be a lot better engineering than what that shitty Titans Return one. I'm losing myself.
No, you're right.
Yeah. It's just it depends on what do you see the figures. What are you referencing those figures to be, and are they meeting your expectation for that particular series? We're seeing a lot of stuff now that's sort of broad range. Yes, there may be some aesthetic looks at G1. You're liking it, or it's just the I gotta stop reading the comments. Yeah, just going off what's coming out now of Kingdom and that sort of stuff too. And I think I should stop there.
No, you make sense. I mean, I think you sound tired of it, as in the replication of the old things. And if you actually think about it, there's only so many permutations and combinations of the same figures over and over again before you start to see fatigue. And I don't think I've been a collector as long as you guys have, so I can understand it setting in. I feel it myself that I'm reaching a point where I'm almost done, and I keep saying that, but you know, until the next variation comes along to hook me in and bring me back, and then I won't complain about it, but I will be aware of the fact that I am doing this over and over again. And you only need to look at like Siege Ironhide, which we were talking about earlier, and Earthrise Ironhide. why wasn't I just happy with the Siege Ironhide version? Well, because I thought the Earthrise one looked closer to the cartoon. So then the next one they'll do, it'll be even closer to the movie or something like that. And I'll be like, oh wow, I've got to have that too. So it's almost like the collector's dilemma, you know, particularly when you're trying to milk a franchise that's 35 years old. Sorry,
Final
Jason.
thought, I'll just put in there, random Facebook user says you're only done when Hasbro says you're done.
Yep, that is the perfect response.
I think we alluded to this a little bit earlier. Like, we don't know what comes next, right? So we're at the end of the second 3-year long trilogy that I think Combiner Wars was actually pretty much where this podcast started, right? Like we're 6 years into a 2 trilogy stretch, right? They've been redoing the same characters over that last 6 years several times, and there does need to be a bit of a question of what actually comes next. Like, are you going to continue redoing Optimus Prime and Megatron and Bumblebee? Are you going to continue redoing that original cast from the 80s, or are you going to do something different? And I think there was a comment a little bit further up a little while ago that said they should give the cartoon back to Takara, which my initial thoughts when I read that was, hell no. Like, none of the cartoons that came from Takara made any sense whatsoever. But there was a second part of that which also did hit the nail on the head, which is that at least we got original takes on characters from that. And I'm okay if they decide that, you know, Grimlock is his RID version from now on, you know. And so I'll put in this other comment from Jason Reed. It says, "Give us different. Do that." No, it's not a truck, and that's kind of the problem. Is that I feel like Transformers fans have trouble articulating what they want, and I think Brad might have just spent the last 10 minutes proving my point. But we don't really know necessarily what we want. Like I said, we'll get on a mountaintop and go, give me something different, but then we'll go out and we'll buy the same characters again and again. Partly, sometimes some people do that because they want to show support for the line and show that you know there's still an audience out there for the Transformers and they want to continue buying them, so that Hasbro keeps making them. Hasbro's not going to stop making them anytime soon, but if you do go out and continue to buy the things that you criticize, all you're sending is a message to Hasbro saying, hey, please continue doing this.
Mm.
Yeah, well, last thoughts. I'll put up to nostalgia, as Jason said before, nostalgia, collectors. You got the Generations figures and these figures coming up that are picking your nostalgia brain. Well, I've had these, I've seen these in cartoon when I was younger, I'm going to get these figures. And then you get in the collector where Earthrise, Siege, Titans Return, Kingdom, a new line coming out, I got to collect. It's just finding that difference between, do you want to be nostalgic and go, right, I grew up with Beast Wars, I don't have the original figures because I either wasn't old enough, wasn't young enough, if that works, didn't have the money or didn't get them. Wow, these new Kingdom figures scratch the nostalgic G1, Beast Wars itch, I'll collect them. Or if you're, wow, Kingdom, Beast Wars, Magnus, whatever else is coming out in that line, I'll collect the whole line. It's just that difference between the two. If you're going nostalgia or if you're going, I'm a collector, I'm going to collect this. It's up to the individual what you do. But there's definitely some good offerings on both sides.
I think you have no obligation as a Transformers fan to purchase everything that comes out every year. You don't have to like it. I don't like half of Kingdom. Like, it's taken me a really long time to get to the point where I can actually go, you know what? I'm not into beasts. So I'm gonna sell off my Masterpiece Beasts because I got all the Masterpiece Beasts because I couldn't have a gap in my Masterpiece collection. And so, like, it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I can go, you know what? I don't like this. So I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to have the things in my collection that I want to have in my collection rather than something that I feel obligated to have in my collection because I call myself a Transformers fan. That's fine. I can still be a Transformers fan. I don't have to tear down people who like the Beast Wars stuff. I'm really happy that people are happy that there's Beast Wars figures getting some representation this year because it's an anniversary of Beast Wars. That's fine. Everyone can be happy about it. I just don't have to buy them. And
But
that's the thing. If you
Brad's
don't-
raised a
if you
really
don't
good
like
point,
them, you
though,
don't have to buy
Jace.
them.
Brad's raised a really good point in terms of the two buckets. Like, there's two groups of people into these toys, right? You got the nostalgia collectors. I'm just going to call them nostalgia people, and then you've got the collectors. And I feel like, Jace, you're probably
I think there's more subgroups than that. But like, let's
there's probably is, but let's just keep it
broad.
let's just keep it high
let's go
level for
broad,
now, though,
yeah.
right? To make the point, all right. So I reckon, Jace, you're more of a collector. I'd say, Brad, you're probably a collector. You've obviously got bits of nostalgia in there,
There's
but I feel like
difference in pronunciation.
but I feel like I'm more of the nostalgia
We're
side
called
because
Zathras.
okay, but on the nostalgia side, for me, I feel like that's the type of individual buying these toys that will ultimately have a shelf life, because as in a limited shelf life, in that eventually you will get to a point where you've scratched that nostalgia itch by getting all of the toys that you can see that look like the cartoons that you grew up with. And then theoretically, you should be done because you've got all that there. The collector is the one that's looking at the toy subjectively and saying, I really like this bit of that toy, so I'm going to buy it and I'm going to collect it and add that to my collection. That's the kind of guy I think that would get frustrated by all of this repetition in these sorts of figures, because again, you're only seeing a certain number of changes before it starts to look very much the same. So I'm hoping that by taking the nostalgia route, which I am taking, that I won't start to get the same view that Brad has. But I'm seeing it now, and I feel like I'm probably at the edge of the cliff that Brad's already jumped off of.
Well,
Brad's tied a rope onto your ankle as he's jumped off. Just so that you know.
That's right.
Yeah, and just eyeing that down, like nostalgically, I've got the original Beast Wars characters. I've got the Masterpiece stuff. I don't need Kingdom. There's no nostalgia with Kingdom whatsoever. If you're a collector and you're going after Kingdom line, you're going to collect it. It's not something I'm willing to collect or spend the money on. That's
because you scratched your nostalgia itch.
I think part of it is that people who are nostalgic for Beast Wars, I think they are willing to buy Kingdom figures because they want to send that message to Hasbro that we want more Beast Wars, and like they want the thing that they remember to come back, and so. And I mean, that's what we all want. We are all slaves to nostalgia, in some way, right? Like, and whether you're like whether you're like Max or like Mikey, who used to be on the podcast, like whether you're young fellas who like who were really into Transformers as from like 2007 onwards, every generation is someone's G1, and every fan of different ages has different figures that they go back to as, hey, this was my favorite one as when I was a kid. And so I think right now, because Beast Wars is having an anniversary, I think it's only too fair. Give them some time in the spotlight. I think it's fine for Beast Wars to get a bit of love. I don't think that Hasbro is going to continue to give Beast Wars some love after this year. I think it's this year, and I think it's done, because I think they've brought Beast Wars stuff back for its anniversary, and they've trotted it out. They're going to tug on people's heartstrings, but then I think they're probably done with it. I think they might pack it back away and maybe bring something back in another 5 years for another anniversary.
Yeah, and don't forget too, like, I'm not saying if you're nostalgic, go and buy the Masterpiece stuff. Like $500 for Megatron, $300 Tigatron, like it's expensive. These new Kingdom figures are a lot less cheaper and do much the same as what those expensive Masterpieces do.
A lot of them do, yeah.
Yeah. So if people are coming into it now nostalgic for Beast Wars and have missed the Masterpiece train, then fair enough. You can. Yeah.
Jason comments again saying Beast Wars is a nostalgia cash grab. I think that's true, but also, like, a cash grab can be multiple things at the same time, right? Like, it doesn't have to be. Like, it doesn't have to just be, it's a cash grab. And like, it's fine to recognize that there are people in the community who are into it, and one, have a cash grab for it, and two, give them some love for the thing that they love for this year. I think it's fine.
Yeah. But also, as you said too, it's all fair and good letting Takara or Hasbro know that we're loving Beast Wars, but the fact that they've nearly released all but Rhinox on the Predator, the Maxwell crew, but we've only got Megatron and Dinobot on the Predacons. Like, there's no Pterosaur, there's no Scorponok, there's no Waspinator. There's a lot of figures still that could come, and
there's
as I
definitely
said,
a lot of characters that aren't coming.
yeah, exactly. This could be the only year, and we won't get any of those characters at all. So
I'm gonna throw up one thing that I think might be a final comment on this, because we really need to actually finish the show.
I'm editing this bitch. I'll deal with it.
Comment from a random Facebook user. I like seeing the evolution of the figures and engineering of the same pieces and keeping the ones that I like. And so this is someone who actually likes looking at different Ultra Magnuses over the years and going, hey, this one's I can see how they've evolved the way that his pylon arms work, and the way that his shoulders work, and the way that his chest transforms. Modern engineering allows us to get updated takes on these characters that we love from being a kid. And I've just locked my computer, so I don't know if it's actually still working.
We can hear you at least.
Oh, good. That's good.
No, it's still here.
Okay, good.
Just for adults only all of a sudden.
Yeah,
everything got dark because most of the light on me is actually from the white of my screen, and it locked and went to a dark screen. I think it's interesting, and I've often shared this perspective myself, which is that I think it's interesting to pick up an Optimus Prime figure today and look at where ball joints took us when they were introduced in Beast Wars. Look where ball joints are. Look where the ratchets are. Look at where they've decided to place the hinges on the legs. How they've decided to build the knees. How they've put swivels in things. All of this stuff that didn't exist in the figures when a lot of us picked them up in the 80s. I just think it's interesting to see how this stuff evolves over time. Like it's almost an etymological evolution that I'm interested in looking at.
Yeah, but that's another collector perspective you're describing, right? It's another collector thing.
Yeah, so the evolution of the figures where, let's go back 2012, whatever it was, with Prime Ultra Magnus, which was very Prime Ultra Magnus. It was not G1, apart from the big shoulders. Going forward, we didn't get another one until a couple of repaints of Prime, and then, what was that?
There was the RDW version.
The Combiner Wars one, which was another repainted Prime.
No, Ultra Magnus was not a repainted Prime in Combiner Wars.
What was the one that... It was the same one they'd done the black skateboarding version of, whatever that...
That was the Power Master Prime.
Okay, that one.
I think he was in Titan's Return. I don't know. Maybe he's
but they done him. Yeah. They done the Siege one, which again, and now the same. What Tony's got on the screen is the most G1 accurate Magnus we've had in decades, dare I say, apart from the Masterpiece, of course. And if you're collecting the figures, yes, you're going to get the Magnus. Wow, next year they make a more G1 accurate Magnus. Oh, wow, now Kingdom's got a more G1 accurate Magnus, I'll get that. And it's just... that's what they're doing.
I don't think anything's wrong with that.
No. But that's just...
I feel like it certainly disillusions some people, but I don't personally feel slighted by it. Like of all things, it's evolution. Like this is how this stuff goes. This is what I expect to happen. I expect there to be better versions of these characters over time. I think when people are saying, "Hey, give us something different," I think people will celebrate when they go and redo the Unicron trilogy, and they bring back all of those characters and all their redos and reuses of G1 characters. But it's not something different. But it's not something different. It's something that was already done. They're just going to redo something different.
Yeah, and that's like before I said, like the Prime and then the Earthrise one being better. Like they're making better figures as we go along. The figures are getting better, more articulation, better. Okay, maybe not better paint, but the figures are getting more engineering better as we go along, and there's going to be better figures as we go along.
And more of it.
And that is half the battle. Are you guys aware of other collectors throughout your travels that have just decided to just stop and hold on to what they've got and just ignore everything new coming through?
So I know there's I mean, look, if we're going to go talking about different types of collectors, right? There are people who are definitely saying Kingdom's it for me. Like I've got characters that I want, I've got modern versions of these, and I'm going to stop collecting Transformers after this. it's fine. I give it a year. Just wait. There'll be something that'll draw you back in. Just when you think you're out, Hasbro will pull you back in, right?
Yep.
But that's fine. And like again, nothing's wrong with any of this. And like we're trying to talk Brad out of a funk, but I think Brad's allowed to be in a funk.
No,
I'm not funked. I'm just there's
he's making a point.
Yeah, it's something I don't want to collect because I have no nostalgia for it. I'm not in the collector's market. Yeah. I'm not saying no one should buy it all.
Jace, no one's saying that this is wrong or that anything that we've talked about is in any way bad.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like I want there to be sort of I would like there to be a conclusion because we're actually just hit 2 hours. But like I need to know exactly.
Great conversation though.
I need to know where this is, where you want this to go. Like, I mean, so far to be blunt, it's observations on what Hasbro is doing, which are all accurate. But I don't know what the point of making the observations is. Like, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you disillusioned? And like, it's like this is all stuff that we know Hasbro does, and I think it's fine. Like, it's definitely correct. Like, Hasbro likes to tweak the nostalgia bell. Likes to tweak the nostalgia bell. They like to, throw things in that reference stuff that's come before. They like to bring in characters from Japanese continuity to play with collectors. And I think all of this stuff is fine. Like, I don't see any problem with it. No one has to buy all of it.
Yeah, great. And I've said before, I'd love to see Action Masters come back. I don't need my figures to transform.
And they've done it. You can buy the red line.
Yeah, exactly. So, speak with your money.
I think it's
buy what you want. Send a message.
that is basically ultimately where everything goes, right? If you like it, you'll buy it, and if you don't like it, then you shouldn't buy it. But some people will buy it anyway.
No, but there's the other bit which we haven't talked about, right? Which is the addiction side of this, right?
There's
another part of this.
It's paying the 5 times more for a third-party version of it because Hasbro's not making it.
Correct. Or doing what I did, which is to go in and buy 2 hot rods over 2 separate periods just because you could, or you saw them in the shop and you were worried like this FOMO it sort of just washed over me. And I thought, I've already got one, but oh my God, I'm going to miss out again. It's like, no, you've already got one, mate. You don't have to do it. But I did it anyway.
So do you know where that gets me?
Where?
So when I watch Nick's live auctions, the AFI live auctions, usually on Saturday nights, like he brings up G1 figures, and he puts them up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really nice. I think I might bid on that. Like I think I want that fit, and then I'm like, hang on, I've got the Takara TF book style reissue collection, and that's in it. I don't need that.
Yep.
Like sometimes.
So you've conquered your addiction
before it happens. No, like I still get that tug on my wallet that says, hey, like you wanna buy this, because I mean it's. Especially with live auctions, right? Like you get a bit of white line favor, a bit of red line favor as you sort of approach the sell point of the auction. And it's just sort of like, shit, I should bid on this, and then I have to like, I'll bring up Nick's live auctions, and in the other window I will bring up the TF wiki page that lists the items that are in the TF collection, just in case something comes up and I'm urged to buy it. I'll be like, that one's not in the collection. I can buy that one. It's great.
Yeah. I think most people have less willpower than that. Like, I think you're organized as well. But also, you in your example, you were able to say no, right, to that particular item that you were thinking of bidding for.
I say no more than I say yes these days.
That's great. So you got willpower.
Maybe, yeah. So
I think you do.
I will go to the point of adding something to my basket on a website, and I'll move my mouse over to the checkout button, and like my credit card number will be filled in, and I'll just sort of stop there and just go, am I upset if I don't buy this? No.
Yeah, that's not willpower.
That's when I just close the tab.
Yeah, that's not willpower. That's deep regret.
That's economics.
No, that's not regret because you haven't made the purchase, but it's that other word that means should I really be buying this?
It's pre-FOMO power regret. Power regret. Power regret. That's that's an especially strong form of regret.
Brad, I think you're thinking of caveat emptor, let the buyer beware.
So in actual fact, let's briefly, because holy shit, we've gone for 2 hours.
This is a great conversation, Jace. This is what the podcast should be.
Let's briefly talk about regret, right? Because the way that things are at the moment, there are these releases of figures that come out, and you're sort of like, shit, I need to buy that as soon as it's released because it won't come around again. This is something that Hasbro's done with a lot of their lines in the last couple of years. The G.I. Joe fans hate it because there's exclusives that are going into particular stores and they're hard to get. But the Transformers fans are getting it as well. There's exclusives that are hard to get. Even I just posted in the group tonight about how to get Jetfire, because Jetfire was released in 2019 and people still want him because they haven't been able to get him. There's been a recent reissue, but people still are having trouble getting it. And so there's very much this case of, hey, this has come out, should I buy this? Probably, because I want to avoid the power regret later that I will experience if I want it and I can't get it. Whereas you can always, and this speaks more to my circumstances than other people's, right? It's I can buy it and I can sell it if I don't want it. Whereas, and I know a lot of people have to actually go, you know what, I want this, and I'm gonna have to save up for a few weeks for it. And by the end of those few weeks, I don't know, maybe the pre-order will be gone. I can't tell.
Yeah, there might be the other regret too, where, wow, I need that Siege. Skyfire.
You really need that Decius clone droid.
Yes, and go to eBay and pay $200 for it. And go, yes, I got it. And then you see the notification of PayPal. You've paid $295 US to get this figure, and then it's like, oh, and then it turns up, and it's like, oh. Okay, well, that's going to sit on the shelf. And
yeah, but that's the same thing as what other people go through in terms of retail therapy, right? That it's the act of actually buying something that gives them that joy. But then when you get the product, it's like, okay, what do I now do with this?
Yeah.
So, we talked about this in the very early days of the podcast, right? There's definitely this point, and we talked about this where there's definitely this point where the figure comes along and you grab it and you take some photos, you post it on the Facebook group, and everyone likes your photos, and you're like, right, that's done. What's the next thing that's going to get me likes? People get a pleasure from, I think, what are we saying, releases of endorphins that give them pleasure, right? People get pleasure from buying things, they get pleasure from things arriving, and they get pleasure from people liking the things that they buy. So we're in a great spot where we're in a Facebook group with like-minded people who like the things that we like, and so you buy it, you get a rush, it delivers, you get a rush, you take some photos of it and you post it and people like it and you get a rush. But then you've gotten the concentrated hit of three rushes of joy for that, and then you sort of go when's the next thing coming in? I've placed that figure. Where's my hand? I've placed that figure on the shelf, and now it just sort of sits there. Where's the next thing coming in?
And Brad, so what you've described is addiction. That's addiction.
Prime example.
Yeah, it totally is. Yeah.
Masterpiece Black Arachnia. When did that come out? 2019.
About 18 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not opened it. The seal's still on.
I've got a pile of stuff under my desk that I haven't opened yet.
Yeah, got it.
Hang
Come
on.
in.
Let me reach under my desk and pull out Ultimate Expanse.
There you go. Yeah, that went straight on there.
Let me reach under my desk and pull out Autobot Alliance. I haven't opened these things yet because I haven't had time to actually go, right, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to pull these out so that I can take photos of them and post them. I want to show people what I've bought rather than just buying it for myself.
But again, you've gone through the thrill of buying it. I'll get to that eventually. Tigertron, same thing. Tigertron, got it. It's in a box in the shed now because I got it, went in there. I haven't got anywhere to display it, so I just went straight into the storage. It's just the rush to buy it was done, and yeah.
Jason
photos come later.
Given us the right word for what I'm getting at, the little hits of dopamine, right? And then the rent needs to be paid, and then you sell some of them off. So ultimately, we're all prisoners to this. We're all prisoners to this thing of being collectors, right? But and we're all describing we're all describing our own personal trauma at what being a Transformers collector is like in 2021. But where does this end? Where does it end?
I just want to comment on the thing, like going to the pokers and put money in. That'd be the same as putting $10 in, just walking away and not seeing what you get out.
Yes, that's spot on. Spot
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So where does it end? No, but it does. Like people come into the hobby and they leave the hobby all the time, right?
Yeah, we see that. Yeah,
it's actually a fairly special thing when you see someone who actually stays in the hobby for a really long time. And like we've talked about this a lot on the podcast in the past, right? Like I've fallen out of being a Transformers fan and then fallen back into it several times over like the last 30 years, and.
Yep.
And like I feel like this time I'm kind of here to stay because like look at the wall behind me, but that doesn't mean that this is always going to be the collection and the way that I display my collection.
Well, I think there are a couple of factors to answer your question, though, Jace. Like in terms of when does it all end? There's the age factor, for example. I think I could imagine people getting to the age of 50, maybe 60, and going, you know what? All of these toys, I'm now an old man. There's no point having all of this stuff. I think income is another factor as well. Like if you're changing circumstances and, the money's not flowing through. And as Jace Reddit said before, the rent needs to get paid. So, you've got to prioritize where your money goes. And then people will just go, that's enough. And I remember there's another guy who used to be on the podcast, Ash, who I think he did a post a long time ago, or last year actually, talking about how he's got kids now, right? So, and that takes priority over collecting plastic. And I think that's a very admirable way of looking at it, right? You've got to redevote your resources, what resources you have, to what's actually most important. So that's where I think those kinds of factors will ultimately be the end of certain people. But then there's other guys like yourself, Jace, who seem to be weathering the storm wherever you go, and you as well, Brad. So
yeah. Well, there's one thing on that. My son came to me the other day. He's 11. And
right.
He said, "There's a near complete G1 Ultra Magnus on Facebook Marketplace. Can I buy it? It's $60." I said, "I've got one in the shelf and in the display. What do you want to get another one for?" Well, because this one I can play with. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's again like where there's a broad age from us. I never grew up. I just missed the G1 boat. I'm 37. There's people into the 40s that were that age, that perfect age for G1, that have kids as well. And there's probably people that are older that were 20 or 30 back when G1 came out that this is a goal. This is going to be good. We're going to keep all this stuff and not grandparent collectors, but high adult collectors also.
The older collector.
The older collector. It's just that's the thing. There's a wide scale of how many people are in this franchise as collectors.
I will posit this to you, and I will posit this to you, and I feel like we really need to actually bring this discussion to an end because we have gone around in circles for 40 minutes. Right?
We have.
What is it that we are hoping to get out of this? Happiness.
Yeah.
Right. You want happiness because you want to collect Transformers because collecting Transformers makes you happy. What is happiness? Ooh,
whether it's nostalgia, whether you're collecting figures that you grew up with, now watching Bumblebee. Wow, Bumblebee, Shadow were great characters. I want figures for that.
I'm gonna throw in a quote. So, happiness, the exercise of vital powers along lines of excellence in a life affording them scope. Right?
That's deep.
It is deep, and ultimately, part of what I'm about to put up goes to that. M1 Champions satisfaction. Complete the collection.
No, completing the collection just leads to pain.
No, that's not true. Because if you have a specific determined endpoint in your collection, if you have boundaries on your collection, and a lot of us don't have boundaries on our collection, right? And so, there are people that I know who say, right, I will only ever have one version of a particular character in my collection, and so when a better Ultra Magnus comes out, they sell the old one, and so that keeps a cap on your collection size. I haven't played that game. Maybe I will in the future. I don't know. But like, so let's get back to the goal of like happiness, right? Like the exercise of vital powers along lines of excellence and a life affording them scope, right? You want to be able to. I mean, you want to be able to do what you want in a way that actually affords you scope, lets you do what you want to do, and collect what you want to collect. We're extremely fortunate that we can actually afford to purchase these pieces of plastic and have these massive displays behind us, and do these things in a way that make us happy. And if they stop making us happy, then perhaps there's a point at which we need to ask why they're not making us happy anymore. And I think like Brad, you've been describing what Hasbro is doing. I said before, Brad's in a funk, and you said no, I'm not. But like, I think you are. Like I think you're disillusioned with what's coming out, and
just current releases.
You're looking for something better. But that's fine. But that's what we're talking about. That's what's coming out, and like we've spent the whole podcast talking about what's coming out. But like, I'm not sure that I'm going to be buying any of them. But that's part of our duty is to cover the news, because that's what we do on the podcast. But you don't have to buy it all. Like you don't have to be out there going, waving the flag and saying, I want all of these things and I'm going to buy them all. Like, it's entirely up to you what goes into your collection, and it's, you have no obligation to put things that you don't like into your collection. And you know what? If that means that you spend a year not buying Transformers, then so be it.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be happy spending that money on other things in your life. Maybe you'll learn something different about yourself. Maybe you'll find a different hobby. Maybe next year we might look at that shelf behind you, and we might not have any Transformers in it because you might have found something else that you're into and you like more. I think all of this is fine, and I think ultimately, like, it's the reason any of us are in this is because we find that collecting these things makes us happy, and if it's not making us happy, then I think we need to consider why.
Yep, and that's it. Like $300 and whatever it was for Tigatron that I just got. I haven't. I got Siege Starscream. I didn't get any more figures from that. Earthrise. We'll see what happens in Kingdom. Like the money I've saved by not buying any of them, I've been able to get Tigatron for the Masterpiece Beast Wars. It's just you collect what you want, you buy what you want, and if you don't like it, don't buy it. It's simple as that.
I think it is that simple. I think it's time.
It's all very Marie Kondo, isn't it? It's all very Marie Kondo. What gives you joy?
Does it actually spark joy, or does it spark joy? Does it spark?
Does it spark less? Does it spark well or spark less?
I think we desperately need to bring this to a close. It's getting late into the night, and I think as time goes on,
this has been fun though. This conversation, I think, has been very interesting.
Tony, you don't need to convince me every time we're running long.
Well, you don't have to keep telling us that we're running over, because we're enjoying it. It's let's be in the moment. This is bringing us joy right now. Just being together and having this great convo, Jace.
I got to end it. If I was worried about it, I'll tell you to stop.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm worried that like we've had 40 minutes of discussion that I don't necessarily has a conclusion, but yeah.
Oh.
Doesn't need one.
I think
it's going to be a very long after credit scene.
So if we rewind 40 minutes, I asked if someone had something that we needed to talk about before we closed the show.
Yeah.
Then he did,
I think the answer was yes. Brad was having an existential crisis, and we needed to talk through it with him.
It's the end credits, and there's still 50 minutes left in the podcast. What's going on here?
All right, I think that's it.
It's been good. Good discussion.
I think it's been great.
Some good comments from the commenters as well in the stream.
Good interaction.
Everyone's gotten very deep, which I think is admirable for a Friday night when, quite frankly, it's 11 o'clock at night when we're recording this, and I expect people to be watching this drunk. So, thank you people for making comments that make sense. I think it's time to end the show.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dare I ask, does anyone have anything that they would like to talk about before we end the show?
Well, next time I'm on, I might have a big Chaos Destroyer to discuss.
Wait.
No, you sold it.
You sold it.
No, that didn't work. eBay Games wouldn't transfer it.
Hang on. Wait, this is going to go for another 40 minutes.
This should have been the 40 minutes.
10, I swear.
So
Rent customer service.
So hang on. We need to actually tell people what's going on, right? So
Okay,
you said a couple of episodes ago that you were going to sell your Unicron. You advertised in the group for a bargain basement price of $750. And what happened?
I had a couple of people interested. Went to eBay Games.
$750, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a few. Went to eBay Games. I could cancel it, which would cancel the pre-order, which meant those interested would have to sit there and click the reload button for probably 16 days and hope that in 1 second of that reload that the order come up so they could purchase it. I could not transfer the order. Well, I could not transfer the order to another person. All I could do was cancel it, and that pre-order would disappear, and that item would turn up as quantity 1 somewhere else on the web. And if you were lucky enough to get it, you're lucky enough to get it. So,
when you're in your sales listing, you said that you were willing to drive it. For what was it? For $100, you were willing to drive it within 200 kilometers.
Yeah. Richard is up in Queensland, so I'm not going to drive to Queensland. He was the first one in the line, but at this point, I'm going to get it, and I'll take the post office and weigh it and see what it's going to cost. I've seen some quoted shipping at $330. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that. I think that's just people putting a excise on them getting the figure. So we'll wait and see. As I said to Richard, I might get in hand and think, actually, I might want to keep this. But we'll see what happens. We've only got about a week. I think 21st of March is when it's supposed to be in. So we'll see what happens.
The time varies a little bit. Now, so just to be clear, I'm logging into Sendle right now, and I'm going to tell you how much it will cost you to send it around Australia with Sendle. Okay?
Do you have the dimensions of the box?
I do, because it's easily Googleable. It's 26 inches, which I don't know how big that is in centimeters. So I'm going to do that. 26 inches in centimeters is 66 centimeters square.
Yeah.
60. Yeah, cool. All right. So I know it's 12 kilos. I'm going to put 13 in, and this is riveting stuff, right? Like, hang on a second. I'm going to put the screen. I'm going to put the screen share on and hope that there's nothing personally identifying on there, right? So I'm going to put the screen share on. We're watching me do a live Sendle quote. This is where we're at. It's 11 o'clock on a Friday night. A live Sendle quote. Oh, Sendle won't take Unicron. Sorry, anything more than 100 liters is too big for Sendle. Oh, we have to go back to Australia Post. All right. So Ozpost. Let's just do this is definitely riveting.
Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next week.
We'll come back next week, and I'll still be here doing this. Send within Australia. Here we go. Send within Australia. Calculate postage. That's a very useful looking link, isn't it? Within Australia, from let's just say it's what's your postcode, Brad?
3688.
Let's say 3,000 to what's Brisbane's postcode?
Queensland 5,000.
Yeah. 4,000.
4,000.
Right. And let's go size and weight. Enter any size and weight. Let's do this again, right? 65 by 65 by 65 by 13 kilos. Set size and weight.
Error.
Exceeds maximum volume.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
So okay, all right.
Does not compute.
So you have to go for a courier.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're going to send,
which is going to be a pallet.
No, it's not. No, couriers will pick up boxes and take them anytime. That's fine. I'm going to kick the screen share out. This whole thing can be edited out of the whole podcast. But yeah.
This is after credit stuff.
Yeah. Or as Jason Reddy says, this should be a show hosted by Grant Dernier. Guess my postage. It's actually basically what I do all day. I guess the amount of postage that I need to charge people.
Survey says.
So yeah,
Exceeds maximum size.
Yes. You win nothing. You go home with nothing.
thank you, Mr. Wonka. All right, that's it. I'm drawing to a close. I've dared twice to ask if there's anything we should talk about before we end the show.
Don't ask again.
I've ended up disappointed both times. So,
Dare to be stupid.
I'm gonna bring it to an end. So everyone, thank you for listening, and especially for the people who've been watching along with the live record tonight. And there are several of you still sending comments into the chat. So thank you for checking.
Great
us out.
comments.
Thank you for watching
Thanks,
live.
guys.
Fantastic.
And thank you for participating as well. You can find out more about these stories. Well, some of them. There'll be links to them in the show notes. They're posted to the Transformers Weekly Facebook page and Podbean site. You can find us at transformersweekly.podbean.com, Australian Transformers Weekly on Facebook, and, of course, all three of us are individually in Transformers Collectors Club Australia on Facebook. You can find the links to the podcast on the Podbean site, and you can also find us listed in podcatchers of choice. I don't know what that noise was. That sounds like someone's invading my house.
Taxi!
Yeah. Australian Transformers Weekly is a long production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia. We are a registered club in Victoria. We're run by volunteers who donate their time and money and collections, apparently, to make the club better for everyone. Our goal is to connect Transformers fans around the country and talk about the ails of collecting a lot, and we do it by engaging the community. And that's a especially good case of it tonight. So thank you for participating. And you can find out more about the club, including affordable yearly membership options, to show your support at Transformers Weekly. No, TransformersCCA.com. That's not going to get edited. Don't edit that. That's funny. That is it from us, I think. that is it from us. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening to the downloaded version and you've gotten to the end of the show, thank you very much for sticking with us. And we hope you enjoyed it, because we do enjoy having these discussions, but we do feel like there needs to be a limit, because we're at 2.5 hours now. That is it from us, and thank you, everyone. And we'll be back with Transformers news maybe next week. I don't know. We'll see.
If you do comic art, Grant Daniels postage boards. Grant Daniels postage boards. We're going to see comic art.
All right.
Thank
awesome.
You, everyone. Bye, guys.
I need to find the right buttons to press to make this happen, and that is the end of the show. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
Clicky.